Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to another KPC weekend live. Sorry for being late a little bit because I was having connectivity issues. As you know, I've been going back and forth throughout in real live streams and also studio live streams, so I always have to install my camera back and forth, which is a nuisance for me, but here I am again. But yeah, today we have a lot of news to be covered, a lot of horrible and surprising and entertaining, all that kind of stuff in one package. Yeah, so there's been a lot going around in Korea in terms of entertainment and political and social. So yes, today's going to be a big roller coaster ride. And hello everybody in the chat, good to see y'all. Hello Artia and Diana and Shinji. Yes, just got the notification. And Mazpay, Michael, hello. Julia from Canada, okay. Great. And Evika, hello everybody. Yes. Hello, thanks for waiting. And Kel, yes, hello. Yes, and please let me know if the fan in the background or the air conditioning humming sound is bothering you too much. Is it okay? Is the sound bearable? Are we good to go? Because I just turned it on because it got a little hot in here. But let me know about the sound, okay? Did I get a haircut? No, I did not. It's just my natural hair without like the wax or what do you call it, this hairspray on. So yeah. Hello, bro. Okay. Hello, everybody from Texas. Jennie. Okay. Yes, to Shig. Actually, we are going to talk about this in a short while. While we're at it, let's hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, let me know where y'all are watching from. It's 1:15 a.m. in Korea over here. Sounds okay. Keep cool, David. Okay, thank you, Francesco. Okay, so we have 81 people so far. Let's hit 100 and go on. So actually, I have a lot to tell you guys. I did like a pop live stream in the middle of nowhere yesterday when I was walking my dog, and I did a little bit of an update about what's been going on with my week or my daily life. Nothing that much, nothing spectacular, but some are related to today's news. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, a mix of news and my daily life and all that kind of stuff. Yes. 12:16 a.m. Philadelphia. Good evening. Okay, 9:45 p.m. here. 17:15 in London. 5:16 p.m. in the UK. Okay, guys. Okay, so since everybody seems to be talking about it already, let's go on with that as the first news. So, as you might have already heard by major news outlets, this has probably been the biggest news for the past 2 days in South Korea and maybe even some segments of the US. But yes, so South Korea sends a crisis team after 300 plus detained at Hyundai LG plant in the US raid. So what happened is basically ICE happened in the US in the LG Hyundai's power, like what do you call them, the factories in the US, especially in the Georgia area. So yeah, like there's been a huge raid on these plants in Georgia, and shock swept through South Korea after hundreds of Korean workers were arrested Thursday in a raid at a construction site in Georgia, just 10 days after a summit between President Lee Jae-myung and his U.S. counterpart, President Donald Trump, where the leaders discussed strengthening cooperation on security, trade, and other issues. That's why there's so much shock here. Like, you know, okay, I guess we don't have any say, like as Koreans say, on like ICE operations. They're just doing their jobs. Like they're checking if these people are legally there or working on working visas or whatsoever. But the significance of the timing here is quite sad in Korean terms and Korean bias terms, because it was just like 1 week before we had the summit between the two presidents, and we had very fruitful and nice conversations. But this happened, so it's like, oh my god, we thought we were the biggest allies, and this is now happening. So that's, yeah, basically the sentiment over here. And the ruling Democratic Party of Korea expressed deep concern and pledged to work across party lines to ensure the safety of Korean nationals. And the main opposition People Power Party, meanwhile, criticized the government for what it called a diplomatic failure and discrimination. Of course, they're going to attack our own at this time too, like political parties always do, pointing to commitments of hundreds of trillions of won in U.S. investment. So they're basically saying, oh, haha, you promised all these like friendly deals and negotiations and all these results with the U.S. government, and look what's happening. Like 300 plus Korean people that are working there, they're probably not like illegal immigrants. They probably have problems and complications with the visa they're on, so some of them might not be eligible to actually work there and have a revenue under their visa. Some of them might be under ESTA visa, some of them might be on like, you know, the all different kind of travel visas and visit visas, whatnot. So that's probably the case. And though the updates on the status of the detainees have not been released as of press time, actually they have been. This is a little bit of an outdated one. I'll go on to the next news. But the Korea Herald compiled key information about the Trump administration's large single-site immigration crackdown to date. In the meanwhile, though, we got to hear what President Trump has to say about this, right? So a journalist doing their job actually asked, what's going on, right? Like they're confused too. Like, and this wasn't a Korean journalist; it was someone from the U.S. press, and they asked President Trump what's going on, and President Trump said, "We did what we had to do. I don't know anything about it." As of the time he was being questioned about it, he was like, you know, I just heard about it before I got into this press conference, and I guess ICE is just doing their job. So that's like his bottom line, baseline thing. And he was like, my view is that they were in the country illegally and ICE was doing their job. And he responded, I only heard about it right before the press conference, adding, I don't know anything about it. So I think he's just, he's just checking out what's going on right now. He's probably, recognizing the situation. And in the meantime, an exclusive report came out saying that the ICE pressured the applicants, the detainees, to choose between immediate deportation and probation. So it's like you got to choose either between those two. You either get deported or you go to court. And yeah. So yeah, these are the two choices for the Korean workers: immediate deportation and 5-year ban on entry to the United States, or detention and a 4-month trial. They were given 10 days to decide. So that's what's happening. That is pretty harsh and scary, right? They actually got cuffed, and they were being... Oops, okay, sorry about that audio. But yeah, if you could see the footage over here, I don't want to get copy strike, so let me just skim through it. But yeah, they were actually lined up. I don't know about being cuffed. Like, let me take back on that. But yeah, actually there were like chains and some things were involved. I don't know if this is direct footage of our Korean citizens being, arrested in those chains and stuff. But it seems like the news outlets are using this footage as, like reference points. So yeah, like it's like a huge operation that's happened, and it says like most of the detained Koreans were on like short visit or just like business visa. So yeah, we got to go into like this the details of the visa and their eligibility to actually earn money on American soil and stuff like that. So yeah, Koreans are basically freaking out right now, and they're like, what's happening? So like people actually dug into like, why did this enormous raid suddenly happen out of nowhere, like, right? So of course, like the ICE operations were going on, and I know that there's a little not little, but like there have been a lot of protests and a lot of political backlash going on in the Democratic states and all that domestically in the U.S. And I always thought, like, okay, Korea is kind of immune to this because, we have like a nice political ally friendship between the states, and most of the Koreans, they don't go there for like illegal immigration, or they have eligibility to actually work in like nice jobs and stuff. But like, I guess there's no exception. But anyways, a journalist actually did some digging on what started all of this, and the ignition point was by a Republican politician. I don't know if this person is in the Congress or not, but it just states that he or she is a politician. And it says here, a Trump supporting Republican reported speculation based on ignorance of circumstances. And what it says is that okay, so Tory Branham, I don't know if it's if it's this person or not, but Tory Branham, let me just do a quick Google search. It seems like it's a she. Yeah, it's a she over here. And if you go back, if you go back and get back to English translation over here, she claimed to report a phone call and report the factories, and said that we need she reported it, and ICE responded, we need evidence. And Branham argued that Korean companies don't contribute to the local economy. She argued that building factories and taking advantage of tax breaks without hiring local employees is deceptive. They built new factories and took advantage of tax breaks for Georgia residents, but they didn't hire Georgia residents, even though there are residents who need jobs. Branham also claimed that the detained Koreans are living a life of exploitation and slavery. I highly doubt that from a Hyundai and LG Energy Solution factory, quite honestly. I don't know about the latter part, but okay, like, she got her valid points about, like, okay, like, they got their tax breaks, and, like, they didn't hire the locals over there. And she also went on going, most of their earnings are being sent to brokers and managers, and their families back home are likely living in slave labor. This is a humanitarian crisis. I don't know about that part too. Okay, so 50% of her statement saying, like, most of the money is probably traveling back to Korea. That is true, because most of these workers are on business, and they are sending back their money to Korea. So, okay, like, her point about the economy and how these tax breaks are going to actually benefit Georgia's local economy, like, there's a discrepancy on that. Okay, I get that part, but, like, the humanitarian crisis thing is a little bit of a stretch. Yes. Yeah. And in fact, the two companies have promised more than 8,500 new jobs for local residents by investing 10.6 trillion won. Locals are also protesting Branham, asking if she will take responsibility if Korean companies withdraw. Okay, so apparently there is, there is opposition against her report and her points as well too among the local community, I guess. Yeah, since this is a big thing, and what if these factories, they don't have any experts to work with anymore? They probably need Korean translators, interpreters, like actual, I don't know, accountants or HR people from Korea and whatnot. So, yeah, so it's a pretty complicated situation right now. So what's the Korean government doing? At first they were bombarded with this news, and they were like, what the heck is happening? So they were doing like emergency meetings. This was a pretty big scale event, because imagine 300 people. So over 450 people were detained, and 300 of them were of Korean nationality, and never has this big of a scale event happened to our own citizens, our own nationals. And in the U.S., I mean, we have always seen some kind of news about like this Harvard graduate or someone, or this researcher or this scientist that was going to the U.S. suddenly get detained by like the immigration office or whatever, and getting like social media checks and stuff, and him being like anti-Trump, blah 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 blah. We've heard of those like one-off cases, but like 300 people, this is of big scale. And I think any country that would have like this big of a scale event would be in emergency mode, because at the end of the day it is their job to secure the safety of our people. And it definitely looks like a hostile environment right now, the way that they're being detained, like hoarded into school buses and being like, I don't know, like relocated to local prisons or detainment centers, whatnot. So yeah, like it's a pretty serious situation Korea's been talking about on the news for the past 2 days. So yeah, there have been some developments right now. So Cho Hyun, he's a high person in the ministry, the foreign minister. He is expected to depart for the U.S. as early as tomorrow. A government official stated, "We are coordinating the schedule for Minister Cho's meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio over the weekend." Yes, and apparently they are, going to go into talks about getting back our citizens safe and sound. Yeah, so it is a pretty immense event that is happening at the moment, and a lot of officials have been going to the U.S. over the weekend. Now the foreign minister is going, and it's pretty intense. So it says consular officials have since been dispatched to the site to provide support. Cho Gi-jung, the consul general at the Korean embassy in the U.S., arrived at the site early Friday local time, so that's already 2 to 3 days ago. And the response team is maintaining communication with U.S. authorities and will continue providing consular assistance to Korean nationals as needed. Yeah, the team also held an emergency meeting with the companies involved and met with the representatives of other Korean firms operating in Georgia to prevent similar incidents from occurring. Yeah, this should be a red alert sign for all these different factories and plants that are Korean companies. There's not a sign of Samsung here, but these are one of the two of the biggest chaebol companies from Korea, Hyundai and LG, right? So yeah, it's a huge event happening. I don't know how this will unfold. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that nobody actually gets too much of a harsh treatment. There have been reports saying that they are pretty good in terms of health. Yeah, and they are just being held for the time being, and there will be investigations. But we don't know of the actual outcome on how this will unfold, whether they'll actually be banned or they'll be fined, or like we said, if ICE makes them choose between you get deported back to Korea and never come back to American soil for 4 years or something, or you go to trial, try your case and fight against it. I don't think they would have a high chance with that, but hopefully our government will have enough leverage or some more chips or cards on the table in order to make a settle down with compromise. What do you call it? No, make a deal with the U.S. government. But I don't know if it works that way. I don't know if President Trump or the Secretary of State or whoever has authority over ICE, or I don't know. I don't know the chain of command. But hopefully, if that is available, in favor of your very lovely ally Korea, hopefully a good outcome comes out from that. So let's go back to the comments and read some of you guys' thoughts. Let's see. Already read up on this. Foreign companies save dollars by using a cheaper visa. It's always been ignored until now. U.S. visa rules need to be updated to accommodate foreign investors and workers. Yeah, to be honest though, if you're not complying by the working visa rules, then you have to go by the book. But if it's been a huge, custom or a long thing that's been going on, that most of these companies have been doing, they should have been more careful and maybe predicted something like this coming with the climate right now. So yeah, I don't think there would be like a definitive way to say like, oh, these people are like 100% victims if we are to go by the book and the law. So yeah, there has to be a lot of negotiations going on. Like there might be just a warning or whatnot, but let's see. Yeah, let's see. All Asian Americans are freaking out right now. Really? Yeah, probably because like these are, as I explained, the magnitude of this, detaining 300 Korean citizens from LG and Hyundai. Yeah, just that sentence alone, the magnitude of it is crazy. I'm sorry that some of these politicians really hate Asians. I don't think they really like. I don't think it's based out of racism. Maybe, like, who knows? But like, based on what the other politician, the Republican, said, like trying to be objective, I can see her point of view. Like these factories and these conglomerates get a lot of tax breaks and advantages, and in return they promise like jobs and like vitalizing the community and that kind of stuff. But if they don't see that, yeah. But like I don't know if it's like the best way to strike back by like reporting to ICE and deporting a lot of people, but like they could argue on their side like that's the least thing they could do. So whatever. Yeah, all I can say is like I can't go into like US politics and their rules and their laws. Yeah, that's like out of boundaries for me to handle. But all I can say as a fellow Korean, is like hopefully they're humanitarian towards the detainees, and yeah, no matter what of their like, regardless of their status and whether they were not abiding by the law or not, let's just have them being sent back to their families to Korea in one piece without being harmed or like in a very hostile environment, which we usually see on the news about like people getting deported and going into like prisons and all that, right? So yeah, that's all I can wish. But there will be updates about this probably because like the workday week is coming soon, and yeah, I think there will be a lot of follow-ups on this throughout this week. This is exactly why I told you Texas wasn't the paradise you thought it was, David. Oh, yeah, if you're referring to like a lot of new Samsung factories popping up in Texas and a lot of other Korean factories over there, maybe, yeah. Yeah, like, administration by administration. Hello, Minji, and, okay, she's just lying, the politician. Okay, the irony is that often these plants are in areas where U.S. workers are lacking in education and skills to do these jobs well or paid. What it would cost to employ them. Yeah. Kia plant has the same issue in Mexico. Oof. Yeah, I think like as these Korean companies are getting more global and they're branching out from Korean soil to overseas, Maltese, they gotta be careful, and their legal team needs to be really compliant with the local laws, especially with this case now happened. Like, there should have been preemptive and preventious cause, measures to prevent anything like this from happening in the first place. But it's happened already. Very unfortunate. Since Korea and the U.S. are close partners, shouldn't the visa requirements just be waived? I don't think it works like that in terms of like work laws, especially. Yeah. I'm confused. Were they construction workers building the new factory or actual workers in the factory? I think actual workers in the factory. Yeah. Or it could be both, but I'm pretty sure those factories are both built, and yeah, the reports mention like experts and tech regarding like technology and skills. So yeah, because like if it was just basic construction, I mean, it we wouldn't have to fly in Korean people, fly out Koreans from Korea to all the way to America, right? Yeah. Um. Okay. You were so mad yesterday. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So. Uh. They are doing this to other people. Why not Korean? I'm sorry, I love Koreans, but they are doing the Latinos and all. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I mean, if there is a law, and if yeah, any ethnicity or any other national that doesn't comply by U.S. law, they are I guess they are going to be treated equally. Yeah. Uh, yes. Okay. Tourism is down substantially due to these stupid ice raids. That's what I heard too. I mean, I don't know how much revenue the U.S. Usually gets from tourism or the tourist industry. It'd be interesting to know some of the stats. Probably not so much of the whole GDP or contribution to the country's wealth. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just assuming because the U.S. has so many industries, the big tech companies, and all the other thriving economies. So tourism, I've never thought of the U.S. as like a tourist country, to be honest. It's very overpriced too, and it's very expensive for a lot of people to travel. So going to the U.S., even for Koreans, is a luxury. Like when I go, one trip a week maybe costs more than $2,000, $3,000. Yeah, if I be frugal. So yeah, but definitely, I've heard a lot of cases. Actually, my friends that are working in the U.S., they're frightened right now, and they're actually seriously considering of returning back to Korea because they never know what kind of change there might be in their working terms, what kind of climate. Not like the actual like weather climate, but like what kind of political climate change there might be. Some are thinking of moving to Canada. Yeah, a lot of people are just scared to post anything on social media, so they're not doing any kind of social media activity. Last time I was there in the U.S. too, so maybe I'm confessing something bad online, but like last time I was there for VidCon. It was like 2 years ago, I think, and I was actually there. Like technically, I was to be like host an event or be like a speaker there, and I would get paid like a guest appearance fee of like a couple $100, by the host of the event there, and yeah, you could technically state that is like earning revenue, but like I wasn't getting paid by a US company, but their standards would be like you're doing a profitable activity on US soil. So anyways, bottom line, what happened is when I was going through immigration and the customs, the officer asked me, "So what are you here for?" And I was stupid enough to say like, "Oh, I'm here as for business." And he was like, "Oh, okay. What kind of business?" I was like, "I'm here for a convention. I'm just." And I'm just gonna just look around in the exhibition and attend some events. And he's like, "So, what's your occupation?" And I was like, "I'm just a YouTuber." And he's like, "So, are you gonna make any videos here, or are you going to live stream here?" And I was like, "Where's this going? Like, this is very specific." He's not the type of person who wants like a small talk with me. Like, he's got a huge line of 100 people behind me. So, what's this? So I got a little like spider sense tingling over there, and I sense that this is not going in the right way. So I was like, "Oh, no, not at all. Like, I'm just here mostly for travel, but like, there is this one event that I want to participate in, and yeah, like I'm just gonna be there for a couple days, and after that I'm just gonna be sightseeing in LA and all that." And he was like, "Where did you get your how are you so fluent in English?" And it was like a full-on interview. I swear to God, I never had such a long interview session in the border, other than the U.S. They're very, very picky and strict, and they're just doing their job, and I respect that too. And I went on saying like I lived here back then, and like yeah, I lived here for a couple years, blah 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 blah. And he even asked for my YouTube channel, my Instagram, and everything. And this was all before the Trump administration and all that. So I was like, wow. And he was pretty like hostile, like with his tone. It was very authoritative. Nothing wrong with that, I guess, but I was getting intimidated, and I was like, what's taking it so long? Because like all of my other colleagues and my travel mates were just going past through, and they were all waiting for me over there, and I think it took like more than 15 minutes or something. Yeah, it was that long. And he checked all my stuff. He called another officer, and he was like, where are you staying at? What's your hotel address? Do you have like a point of contact I can verify your stay at? Blah 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 blah. It went on forever, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? And I heard an incident about my friend actually getting detained and getting body swept. Like, she's a small little girl, and she's like a makeup artist, and she was like, you know, attending Alexa's global tour or something as like her makeup artist, and she was detained because like her luggage had so many like cosmetics and like brushes and all that kind of stuff inside it, and the customs thought it was suspicious, and they actually opened everything and like, you know, flipped it backwards and to see if there are any drugs, or like what's she doing over here, how is she making money, and you gotta file all that. And so she actually like cried, and she was staying there for more than like 5 hours. And yeah, like I heard that story, so I got reminded. I got reminded of that situation. I was like, oh shit, like is that happening to me? And then anyways, I think I kind of bullshitted my way through. I was like, yeah, I became more ambiguous as possible with my comments, and I was like, actually I don't really know much, like I'm just here with that team. And he was like, what's that team, like who's the head of that, who's in charge of that team, what's the organization? But anyways, once I actually got out of that situation and met my team, they were like, what took so long? And I was like, oh, I explained what happened, and they were like, oh, you stupid, you should just say you're here for travel, you know, like, you know, it's my first time in LA and here for travel. And actually though, like one other guy who was as fluent as me in English said that might work with people that have broken English, like not fluent English. But if you have fluent English and you say travel, sometimes they actually crack down harder on you, because like so many people just say they're here for travel, so they might be suspicious, like where, you know, like if you have so good English American accent and you're saying you're traveling, they don't buy it. So advice here and there. But anyways, like there was that kind of environment. But I can't imagine what's going on in the borders nowadays with the strengthened climate over there. So yeah, it's very scary. I haven't said anything hostile about the U.S. administration, I would say, objectively, but like I am a content creator after all, and sometimes inevitably I do cover these kind of pieces. So I'm kind of scared to visit the U.S. and under this current administration for until it ends. I don't know. Like I don't know if I'll be taking that risk to visit the U.S. in the near future. To be quite honest. Yeah, like seeing this kind of news, like there's a lot of places to go in the world, so, you know, why would I risk that, right? Yeah. Maybe not other places. You guys are mentioning Hawaii and stuff, but this was LAX, where I usually always enter through. But yeah. Okay, let's go read some comments. Tourism is down worldwide. Not Korea. Korea's on its high. First world nations are aging and inflation cut into leisure. Everywhere. Or the most damaged by tourism declined. Okay. Canadians are not traveling to the U.S. Yeah, I heard. Like, there are a few countries that are going up against the U.S. And I think Canada, India, and Brazil are among the big three. I mean, a lot of people in Korea are like, you know, your country has to be strong enough and have like a domestic economy, a self-sustainable domestic economy enough to go up against the U.S. and their tariffs and their policies right now. So yeah, just to be clear though, like right now, I'm not trying to be too critical or hostile against the U.S. and their policies. I have no say against your domestic policies as a Korean citizen. Yeah, I'm just an observer over here. Yeah, just reading the news of what's happening to our own citizens. Yeah, in context of like the series of events happening in relation to the Hyundai and LG plants. So yeah, David gets handcuffed at the airport. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Let's see. Wow. You guys are talkative today. They keep asking questions to see if you mess up your story. Oh, it's like an actual interrogation. Ooh. I was asked before why I don't just live in the US since I'm always traveling there. I politely said no thank you. Oh, really? Okay. You from Hongdae? No, I'm not from Hongdae. My parents just came to visit and tours for a month, and it worked out well for them. That's good. That's good. Okay. Hey, you got the third world country immigration experience. Yeah, I mean, I felt if you put it in that kind of perspective, like I feel really privileged because like any country I go in the world, when I was traveling throughout Europe or Southeast Asia or Japan or the US, anywhere in the world, the Korean passport has always been like a free pass. Like even when I was in the UK, I almost got declined of entering the country, but like I got in well, like using my genius tactics. But anyways, like I did see a separate line for particularly Singaporean, Japanese, Korean, maybe even Chinese. I'm not sure about that, but like these three countries, there was a separate line, and there was this massive other line, and I was here, and I was like, okay. I went through that line, and it just took me like 5 minutes to go through. So I was like, yeah, it's awesome to be Korean, right? So yeah, there was a line like that. Often there are lines like that in other countries as well. Japan and our country are making a pact currently to make it like no visa at all, like not even passports are required, because like our two countries have never been, like the tourists have only been beneficial to each other. So yeah, and they're like, why do we even waste time on inspecting these passports? Let's just make them digital or whatever, and like let's just abolish the procedure and just skip all that. So that we're in those kind of terms right now. China's a little bit strict, of course. North Korea, no. Yeah. Yeah, same with the Norwegian passport, no issues. I feel sorry for the others. Yeah, I've never, like, I've always thought of it as a given, and I've never realized how much of a privilege it is. And to think that Korea, such a small country, yeah, has such kind of, an advantage is crazy. And I don't think it's because of our economic status or anything. Of course, it might be. Like, there might be a lot of different variables in deciding which countries get that kind of privilege or advantage, but I think in general it's decided by the GDP of the country, and like because of the spending, the consumer power, like how much money these tourists actually spend and contribute to the local economy. That would be one thing, but I also think it's like the manners and the way people act. And I'm not saying the other countries don't act like that, don't get me wrong, but like Asians and like these countries I've mentioned always are seen as like less troublemakers in a grand scheme of things. Yeah, so like these people, like they have stats, right? They have stats of like nationalities or who's been detained or not, who's been like causing crimes or whatever, like issues in that country. And I feel like not a lot of these nationalities might have caused a problem or whatever, like, but like we can go into like passport power and what determins all of that. Yeah, technically, actually I'm curious about that. What defines passport power? Like, what are standards? What are the metrics Yeah, like I'm asking ChatGPT right now. Right now it says no, like ChatGPT. It's stupid. Diplomatic weight, of course, that's true. No, I'm saying. Okay, yeah, it's giving me like I didn't ask the right question. Anyways, okay, yeah, my brain is not working right now because I'm juggling through comments and ChatGPT. Too many. I'm not dyslexic, but times like this I get dyslexic when I'm talking to the screen, reading chats, reading ChatGPT, typing something, and thinking one at the same time. Yeah. Okay. I think it has more to do with whether you will stay for too long or go hide in the country. Yeah, that could be one thing too. Yeah, some people, yeah, just smuggle in, right? Okay. Jones X seems to be very fixated on Hongdae people. Yeah, if you want to know about Hongdae people, I think you're at the wrong channel. You should go to Sean Solo's channel. Just kidding. Unique thing about Hongdae people, nothing unique. They're just all very thirsty. Yeah, that's all. Okay, so yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed for the safe return of all these detained Korean citizens. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to give some positive updates next week on KPC Live. But on to the next news. We have some shocking, actually sad news that's happened in Korea. I was like, what? Is this real? So, yes, I don't know if you know this guy, but his name is Tae Do-seok-wan. That's his nickname. Great Library, if you translate it into English. He was a pioneer into Korean gaming and in the YouTuber scene, but he dies at 40. He died like a day before at 47. So his real name is Na Dong-hyun, a popular South Korean YouTuber widely known by Tae Do-seok-wan, Great Library. He was found dead at his home in eastern Seoul on Saturday, and according to the Gwangjin police station that were dispatched at 8:40 a.m. after a friend reported him missing, saying he had failed to show up for a scheduled meeting and could not be reached. He was found dead at the scene and no suicide note or signs of violence were discovered. And he was 47, and he was regarded one of the country's first generation internet streamers, having begun his broadcasting stream in the early 2000s. Yes. So, like, this is crazy because I think everybody around me has at least heard of me as a Korean. Like literally, he has been a pioneer of the YouTuber scene. He would be like the PewDiePie or the Mr. Beast, like that kind of symbolic figure of Korean YouTubers. Of course, like our country is small, so like the max capacity of where you can climb is up to like a couple million subscribers. Where he was at, I think he was at 1.5 million or something. But yeah, he was definitely a known name, and he was on TV for a lot of times, a lot of programs. I do think recently there was a decline in the amount of clout or influence he had. That's like the cycle of all YouTubers anyways, but he still was like a symbolic and significant figure in the Korean YouTube scene. But it was just such a shock because this just came out of the blue, and he's not even that old. He didn't have any reason to, as we saw, like no suicide note. People are speculating, like this is all speculation, but like he did quite recently, like a few years ago, get a public divorce with another famous streamer, and it was publicized for a while. But that I don't think he was affected by, like, me personally, because by the fact that like a few days ago and up till that he was regularly streaming and he was all bright and like he was giving a lot of entertainment to a lot of people. And we don't know, people are very cautious about like pinpointing the source of like the actual motive, or I don't know. We don't know the cause of his death. So a lot of people just jumping on and saying, of course, it's depression or suicide or something. Like, I don't think that's right at all, too. There are some notes in reports saying that he did have some kind of medical condition beforehand regarded to his heart. But that's also not, decisive at the moment too. So we gotta wait for the autopsy. Of course, like the family doesn't have any right to disclose it, but if it is disclosed, it's going to solve a lot of, speculations and all that. Like these crazy YouTube channels I've been seeing. I sometimes I lose all hope in humanity in times like this, because over the past 24 or 48 hours or whatever, I've been seeing these cyber wreckers jumping on this and digging up all like his comments with like his past divorced wife, and like hints and little snippets of his commentary, and they're like blowing it out of proportion and saying like this is probably the reason he committed suicide. And there's nothing out yet. Like these people are crazy for these views. I don't even know whether YouTube actually enables them to monetize that content, or maybe they're just going it for the views or the subscribers. But it's just disgusting to see these people jumping on these speculations when they know nothing, and they're just making content out of this guy, right? So at least you can say rest in peace, but like not anything like that. By the way, rest in peace to the dude. But yeah, like these people are just crazy, and I think it's extremely disrespectful for the family and his fans too. And yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, but anyways, it's just so shocking. And yeah, I did my own fair share of like what do you call it, like wishing him a rest in peace, and like a lot of creators, including myself and a lot of my fellow friends and YouTubers, have met him sometime down the road in like a networking event. I actually met him at the Grand Hyatt Hotel during a YouTuber party or whatever, and I didn't get a selfie with him, but my friend who was right next to me got a selfie of him. And like yeah, everyone was just sharing their mourns and rest in pieces in like communities, group chats, YouTuber group chats, and putting up stories and all that. I think that's a little bit too high key for me, but yeah, anyways. The clickbaity YouTubers need to be sued for making false accusations, slander, defamation on a person who just recently passed. Karma, exactly. And there's this crazy guy, so I don't really want to name him and point him out, because like this guy is pretty crazy and aggressive. And I don't want to get into any beef with him at all. Like I just don't want to be connected with him in any way, because like he might come at me, but like I doubt like he would see this live stream anyways. But there is this crazy one YouTuber that I actually admired a while ago, because I thought he was like a very great videographer. I'm not going to name him, but he was a pretty decent creator, and suddenly he turned into like a political YouTuber or something after a lot of series of controversies. Now his content has entirely changed, and he became like this egotistic weird dude that I don't even know. And back in the day when everybody kind of admired his content, he was like a big name in the YouTuber scene, so he got a chance to collab with Great Library together on a stream. And it was like a Samsung stream or something about like a new Galaxy event, and Great Library was an MC over there. And the other YouTuber, I guess he was kind of like, his energy level was down, or he was trying to position himself as the expert of technology, or like explaining the gadgets and stuff. But like the Great Library as the host and MC was trying to get like his energy level up, so he put in some few words and saying like, oh, like why not we crank up the energy and something like that. And that came as offensive to the other YouTuber, and then he held a grudge on that, and he kind of milked those comments for a while. And the other day when Great Library passed, he put up like a thread post saying like, anybody who messes with me gets karma. It's either like death or punishment or blah blah blah. And he linked the video they were on together on the thread post. So yeah, people definitely knew who he was talking about. It was just literally a targeted post, and so like that person got a lot of slander for that, and he deserves it, I think. But like, I don't know why people are so crazy nowadays. Like level-headed. People are missing. It's wild. YouTube needs to be stricter. Some more like anyone can post anything and there's no consequences. I know, right? It's happened a lot of times in K-pop, definitely in the celebrity scene. That Sojang, 탈덕 수용소, that was a very infamous YouTuber who actually got karma for making fake videos and news about Changwon-young, especially, and BTS members and a lot of K-pop celebrities. And she turned out to just be a jealous figure. Yeah, and everybody saw her running from the court. And like back in the day, it was very hard to actually capture these people because YouTube is located in, I think, San Francisco, or like it follows the Californian law. And the Korean government doesn't have like judiciary boundaries or the rights to obtain the personal information of a YouTube channel, who the owner of it is. So you got to go through Google headquarters and then request it formally through the Californian court, and if they grant that and permission, it comes back. But like it always gets missed in like kind of missed in the process. It just gets like absent in the process, and a lot of people just couldn't do that because they didn't have like that much influence. But like when Starship actually stepped up, like they're a big company, a well-known K-pop label with a lot of finances too. It probably took a lot of finances to get that done through a law firm that knows what they need to do with US laws and all the proper procedures, blah 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 blah. And so they were probably the first case, the big first case in Korea to actually crack that hole in YouTube's personal information laws and get that information about Sojang. And I think the Google headquarters probably thought like that case was valid and big enough to provide the information too. But like dealing with these global corporations getting personal information, even though it's clearly defamation and crime, it's not so easy always. So yeah, those filthy clickbaity YouTubers hiding behind an avatar to spew nastiness. I know, right? Like if you're gonna cover something, do it with at least with your face and identity, right? Take accountability for it. AI is supercharging them. Yeah. But anyways, rest in peace to 대도서관. Very shocking, very sad. I didn't even know how to feel about it in the first place because I thought it was fake news. Yeah. Danny first let me know because we're in a group chat and he sent us a link and he was like, is this real? And then I read it too, and then all these media outlets started like reporting about it, and we were like, it must be real. Oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense. Like this guy's he's successful. He's been doing live streams. He's been doing content a day before, and suddenly, so it was just like very unbelievable to us. And then after like a few minutes, it hit me hard, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. And my mom actually checked on me after hearing this news, saying like, if a big YouTuber like that, like a tragic event happened to him, like, she was just like checking on me and like, she's like, everything good? I was like, yeah. Yeah. Okay, but anyways, this was some sad news. Rest in peace, 대도서관, and on to the next news. So before we get into the fun batch of news, I have some political news that might not interest you, but like, I'm gonna scrape the surface for you guys to know what's happening on the other side of the globe, outside of the US or Europe maybe. So, okay, Europe might be affected by this too, like looking at these three people, maybe the world probably. So, Kim Jong-un joins Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin reviving the Cold War stage for strategic gain. So this iconic, I don't want to call it iconic, but it is pretty iconic if you think about it. It's crazy, this picture itself. Putin, Xi, and Kim, all three of them together in one picture. Dang, look at this. Oh my gosh. In a spectacle unseen since the Cold War, the leaders of China, Russia, and North Korea stood shoulder to shoulder on Tiananmen's rostrum in Beijing on Wednesday, watching a parade that showcased China's strategic weapons, including missiles capable of striking the United States. For North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the spectacle was far more than a symbolic debut on the multilateral stage. It marked a recalibrated grand strategy to elevate Pyongyang's stand-in. Pyongyang is North Korea's capital, standing and leverage abroad, not least with the Trump administration, while tightening his grip at home and ahead of the October 10th celebration of the party's 80th founding anniversary. At its core, that strategy is about securing backing from China and Russia to gain the upper hand in potential nuclear negotiations with the U.S., restoring Beijing as an economic lifeline, and hedging against over-reliance on Moscow amid growing speculation over an eventual termination of the war in Ukraine. While striding down the red carpet toward the Tiananmen rostrum, Xi led the way with Putin on his right and Kim on his left, the three leaders moving in step, their brief exchanges without translators captured by cameras and broadcast live to audiences around the world. Yeah, that is a wild picture over there. Winter is coming. Yeah, that could be a right statement, because like these guys, literally, not joking, these guys single-handedly, each and every one of them probably has the power to end the world. Let that sink in, like just in terms of nukes. They have the power to start a nuclear war. I mean, all other countries do, but like they have the balls to do. They have the craziness to do. Even if the U.S. has the most nukes in the world, I don't think, maybe, I don't know, but never say never, but like they're more friendly towards like the global, friendliness of mankind and the conservation of mankind. But these three people, I don't know if that's the case. Yeah, Putin actually started the war. China has been aggressively stating its viewpoints on its adjacent countries and neighbors, and they've always had an agenda in the CCP about like their aggressive expansionism. And Kim Jong-un is just a crazy guy that's in the party that got his VIP ticket with his nukes. Yeah, so these people, I mean, yeah, it's crazy to see all these three people together. And yeah, if you see, what's interesting on the North Korean perspective is like Kim Joo-ae. We were talking about the next North Korean leader, right? She's the daughter of Kim Jong-un. Kim Joo-ae's debut in Beijing signals clear path as heir. So she was spotted at this grand event, and she was just right next to the supreme leader over here, and definitely that signs that she has the power now. She is definitely gonna be the successor, because like those little things, like we have universities with majors called North Korean academics or studies in Korea, and all these professors have studied North Korean politics and diplomacy and their history and their internal policies, blah 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 blah, for years, and they microanalyze every single move Kim Jong-un and his regime and they do, and like his successors and his heir, his family tree, blah blah blah, and they've claimed that it's probably like looking at all these publicity, public appearances and whatnot, she's going to be the next leader by a high chance, high probability. So yeah, we're going to be having a female North Korean leader. I don't know how that will change the tides, but it is pretty wild if you think about it. They should play with their grandkids instead of making war equipment. Have mercy. Yeah. Da Vinci, we talked about the Koreans getting rounded up. Yeah. It's on the early part of the stream. You can replay that after this. Yeah, they're laughing at Trump. Oh my god. I think they kind of are. Yeah, no offense, but like because President Trump's policies have been pretty hostile to the world right now, and the alliance is, I wouldn't say broken, but there's definitely a crack in them, and the sentiment isn't that positive towards the US. Global political dynamics are shifting. The tectonic plates are now like, they're not as sturdy as before with the US alliance. Like new allies, new partnerships, new pacts are being made with new kind of dynamics between, like, India and China have never been very hospitable towards each other, but now because they have a common enemy or a competitor, which is the US, now they're in talks nowadays. And yeah, like it's crazy to think these things are happening, and we're going more and more near World War III, a chance of World War III, and I'm not going to talk about it because everybody thinks I'm a warmongering person, but like war has always existed in humanity and like history, and there's no ruling out the possibility of an actual full-fledged World War III in the near future. You never know. Like the world became such a volatile place right now. And I saw like a lot of multiple reports about Kim Jong-un and Putin, them having a summit together, and they were both thanking each other for North Korea sending over their soldiers and like sacrificing their lives for the glorious cause of Russia's whatever against Ukraine, and Kim Jong-un was honored to do that, and their alliances are strong. So I don't know what to say. Is Kim Jong-un even being taken seriously by the other two? His army and arsenal are utterly insignificant in comparison. Yeah, definitely, but I would say he has some leverage in. He's like I think a nice tool. I would say he's like a nice card. Because he could be a front, you know. He's always been openly hostile to the U.S. He has nukes, and he's a small enough country that's been closed to global trade and whatever. So I think for the two other leaders, they could strategically, tactically use him in a convenient way if they would like to. And in exchange, North Korea gets funds or aid or support or whatever, or Kim Jong-un stuffs his own belly by doing so. So yeah, I think there would be multiple ways for the other two nations to leverage the presence of North Korea, because it's such a convenient tool lying there. Exactly, that's just being realistic. About World War III? David, I wouldn't worry too much about China, Russia, and North Korea. They have their own problems to worry about. But it's these times when they have their own problems to worry about, suddenly they form an alliance and they form a common agenda saying like, you know what? The whole cause of this is this one country. Why are we being bullied by this country when we have a better economy, more workforce? Now we're on par with their military power, us all together. Like it's gonna be a zero-sum game anyways if we start a nuclear war. So, and once it starts going that slippery slope, there's no coming back, I would say. And I think these leaders would be just examining and waiting for the right moment. And I think the global tide nowadays, as I told you, like there is a crack forming among the credibility and reliance and also trust between allies. So yeah, times like this, turbulent times like this, are when crises occurs. So I'm scared. Maybe I should flee to Singapore. I think Singapore is going to be the safest place on earth, next to Switzerland, maybe. Or maybe just in the middle of nowhere. Okay, guys, so enough of politics and whatever. Like, even if we worry about this, if a nuclear war happens, we're all going to be obliterated into atoms and whatnot. So, oh wow, we got a donation from Ivica. Thank you for the 10 euros. Thank you for your donation. Oh, I should be saying that to you. But pizza, thank you, Ivica. You're the first super chat of the day. So let me let you state. Oh, actually, what? You know what? Eileen, thank you so much for the 10 pizza on PayPal. And Hilda, thank you for the 10 on PayPal as well. Hilda, pizza, thank you so much. Just saw it here. Yes, really appreciate all your support. So we're at the half point of today's live stream. So if you would like to support, you can either support via Super Chat or paypal.me/KoreanPizzaClub or PayPal down below in the description link where you can get extra content. Yes. Okay. Lots of prayers for the world. A great way to, yes, transition to the next topic. While we're talking about global wars and nuclear strikes, you know, there are more pressing and closer issues to us that we can actually feel with our skin, right? So, actually, will South Korea legalize abortion pills? I think this is a very important issue and debate to be talked about. In my opinion, it's a non-debate, quite honestly, but yeah, in society it's still like a big debate, I would say. And South Korea's constitutional court declared the criminalization of pregnancy termination unconstitutional 6 years ago, but the country remains mired in legal and medical limbo, leaving women to deal with uncertainty, stigma, and unsafe alternatives. Without follow-up legislation to regulate and guarantee safe access, women seeking abortions are forced into what advocates called a blind spot. Hospitals often refuse to perform procedures without clear legal guidelines. Women are then left to scour online forums or underground markets to buy smuggled drugs at exorbitant prices, raising risk of counterfeit pills and severe health complications. For many women, especially minors, low-income individuals, and those living outside metropolitan areas, the barriers are even higher. What was celebrated as a legal victory has paradoxically left many stranded. So, yeah, I think talks about this have been resurfacing nowadays, especially from a lot of the women's rights activists and the feminist regions. And I think it's very valid and very needed. That's my personal belief, even though I'm Christian and I have my own beliefs and whatnot, and like, you know, the political spectrum and everyone of this country can have their own beliefs. I think by principle, if a woman has an unwanted pregnancy, then she should have the right to, have control over that decision. And I think it's just the right thing to do, like, because there are so many cases that the person was forced into an unwanted pregnancy, and there are some cases that the person just can't carry on. It could be economic, it could be situational, whatever, but each and everyone has their own different, situation. And so like there could be cases of rape, and it's just horrible to think that these women have to suffer just because of the law and some kind of belief that maybe those individuals might not believe in. that they have to just, have the baby born, and that would definitely just tie up their life and mean a very, very change, like totally change their life trajectory. And because of that, and in the process, as this article said, a lot of women just shudder in fear because they don't know what to do, because it's illegal. They can't go to the hospitals. There are hospitals that work under the counter, but like that's not covered with like any health insurances or any legal procedures. So if anything goes wrong, you can't you're on your own. That's very scary itself. Also, the prices are very high too, so some people might not be able to afford it. You don't know if you can trust the doctor or not. For the pills that you can actually get from overseas, as the article states, you don't know if they're counterfeits. You don't know if it's from a trustworthy source. You don't know if there are actually drugs and like the person has a malicious intent to drug you. Or like there are so many different threats and possibilities that can happen because it's not legalized. And if like if those things become legalized and it becomes a safer environment for these women, I think it's gonna be just, I don't see any downsides in like legalizing abortion pills, other than some people, like some people in my own church that have very orthodox beliefs might be against it, and I honestly respect both sides too. Okay, like I'm not going to take any sides, but at the end of the day, I think people that do not have those kind of beliefs, pro-life, pro whatever, they should have the right to have control over their own bodies. Like it's their own body, it's their own choice, and it's the people on the other side aren't going to take accountability on the woman's life, right? Because they had like an unwanted pregnancy and a baby. So if that's not the case, I think everybody should have the legal support and choice to have these pills. So that's just my own personal opinion. But anyways, it's just very sad that South Korea has not legalized them yet. It's just not a very safe society in those kind of terms. South Korea has developed a lot in terms of economic status and soft power and whatnot, but we're still a lot backwards in terms of a lot of things. Last time we were discussing tattoos, it takes a lot of time to actually legalize these things, because tattoos, they're widespread and they're prevalent, and everybody's just doing it under the counter, but like it's not legalized yet. So if by the book, if you were caught like practicing tattoos and getting one on the scene, then I guess like the consumer wouldn't be penalized, but the tattoo artist would definitely get punished. And same for this, like the doctors, even if they have their own beliefs and they're like a nice, trustworthy doctor that cares for the patient and gives like a surgery for the woman, and if the doctor was reported or somehow caught by the police or the government, then they would get stripped of their medical license too. So that's a huge risk as well. But I do know that a lot of these what do you call them, 산부인과 in English. What is that? 산부인과 in English, 영어로. These obstetrics and gynecology doctors. Yeah, like there are a lot of these places where you can just call them up and say like, I'm in an urgent situation, or I want to get an abortion, could you do the surgery for me? There are some places that refuse, there are some places that say okay, and some places call you up at like 10 p.m. in the night and do it very sneakily or hidden. I've actually had a case where who was this person? Yeah, I met a person, and she was a foreigner, and she opened up about like her traumatic incident in Korea, and I felt super bad about her, because like this is like, of course this is majority, it's about like Korean citizens, right? Like of course the Korean women would be the majority that are getting affected by the unconstitutional law of pregnancy termination. But like this foreigner girl that I met, and she was very, very, traumatized by this incident. So like she hung out with some, I guess, a guy or guys, I don't know, probably in Hongdae or wherever. I won't state. And she did actually tell me, and I'm not trying to like specify an area or stigmatize her in any kind of way. But yeah, so basically she got an unwanted pregnancy. But she was like, that time I was new here and I didn't know anybody. And even if she did, she wasn't like confident enough to open up about her situation. And like she Googled and she tried everything, but there was so limited sources about what options she had. So she went on struggling for a couple weeks before she actually met like a trustworthy like Korean girl to put up her sleeves and actually help her by her side and actually get the proper measures she wanted. And she had to go through that, and those particular weeks were the most stressful weeks for her. And when I was hearing that, I was like, whoa, because she actually told me about like the guy that was responsible about it. And yeah, actually she was talking to like multiple guys, but anyways, like the guys weren't taking responsibility. They were like, like, how do you know it's mine? Or like, I took precautions. You're on your own. And some person like ghosted her and stuff. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, dude, like, you're already a scumbag. You're already trash. But if you are a human being, don't run away from the situation. Try to like help the person out as a human being to a human being. Like, you're already trash for saying that, but like you can at least save some face for yourself and your own dignity, and be a man and actually help this helpless foreigner in a place she's never set foot on in her life, and she just got here and she's shuddering in fear. And you can like at least do some research for her by her side. And yeah, like that's the least thing you can do if you mutually had fun or whatever. But it was just so heartbreaking and so disgusting to hear how the guys were acting. And I would say a lot of guys are cowards and would act like that in those kind of situations. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like these kind of incidents are what paint the horrible reputation of, like, if you go deeper into the layers, like the abyss of Hongdae guys, there are these kind of people, and it's not an uncommon story. And and me hearing it in a first person point of view from the actual victim was horrifying. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, when I heard that, like I felt like reading this kind of news, I always revisit that vivid dialogue I had with that girl. And if these kind of abortion pills were just accessible over the counter legally through pharmacies, then there wouldn't be any cases like that, like women shuddering in fear, not knowing what to do, like not knowing who to trust, who to rely on, and having to do all their research on the internet through like these sketchy forums that are trying to, like, I don't know, human trafficking or sell drugs. Or there are some scary forums out there you can't trust. There are places on like the dark web, and usually places for these abortion pills or drugs are on Telegram. And every kind of drug you can purchase in Korea is from Telegram. And I would probably say abortion pills as well too, because Telegram's famous for not giving out information, and you could just permanently just burn down all the texts you had, and you can't pinpoint who the seller is and whatnot. So yeah, but you could wind into very dangerous situations. Like, imagine a person saying, okay, let's meet at this particular spot, which should probably be unpopulated, shady, and they hand you out a pill and they give you instructions, and like, things could go really south from there. So yeah, to avoid all that terrifying scenarios and horrible things, I think Korea should legalize abortion pills. And yeah, okay, so it's still illegal there. Yup. Mind blown. This is some subject to jump into. Yeah, it's a very, I would say, dark in some terms, and deep one too. Downside of legal abortion is people abuse it just so they can have fun without bothering with the consequences. But I think level-headed people, there are so many, like, what do you call them? There are so many protections from the man side. Of course, usage of condoms should be like normalized. It should just, like, without condoms, no condoms, no sex. That should just be the rule in general. So like girls, of course, I know a lot of girls personally, they have that rule too, and I'm totally with them, because like, if these guys, they just don't take accountability, what are they going to do, right? So no condom, no sex should be just a standard rule. And if for any reason, like, you guys love each other too much, or you're planning for marriage or whatever, but circumstances and situations can always change. Even so, like, if you just want like bearskin or whatever, then like, the woman, by her choice, should take those, like, what do you call them, the contraceptives or the pills that prevent you from having pregnancy. And I think, like, pleasure and fun and whatnot, that's to everybody's own, like, own values, and it's nothing wrong, I would say, but protection is always needed, and you always have to be aware of the consequences and prepared to take accountability. So yeah. It's so dangerous. Agree. Do women travel abroad for terminations? I don't think. Yeah, there actually are a lot of places you can get an abortion in Korea if you want to. But the thing is, you have to go through, like, online communities or Telegram, or just do your own research. Call up some gynecologists. Gyno? How do you pronounce that? Gynecology? Gynecology? Pro-choice is being contested in the U.S. too. Crazy how regressive we've become as a society. Yeah. I think pills should be available, and government should have no say in autonomy of a person's body. Oof, I see the comments getting a little heated over here. How is sex ed in Korea? Is it taught in school? As I told you before, it's just on the surface level. We go through the human anatomy of, okay, this is how, I don't know the medical term, but this is how a woman's ovary, is that right? Or vagina or whatever, looks like. And, like, this is called a period, where something's generated every month, and blah 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 blah, and this is how a testicle or penis looks like, and there's, like, sperm in there, and there's, like, eggs, and they meet and they become life after whatever. So we get that textbook human anatomy education, if you can count that as sex ed. But when it gets to the act itself of sexual intercourse, we do have some like depictions of like, okay, the man going into the woman, and like, you know, those pictures and the kids are giggling and all that, but like we don't go really much in detail of like terms of protection or what's very important, like the practical stuff. I think I would like to think that it has changed over the years. I would assume that nowadays in high school they do have like a dedicated session of like these sex ed professionals come, and I did see some videos online about like, you know, a very well known sex ed professor visiting a high school and showing them like how to put on a condom on top of a dildo and stuff, and how to like clean your important parts, and what are very important precautions before you engage with sexual intercourse. So I've seen those videos, but in my generation, like 2 decades ago, when I was in middle school, high school, the only sex ed I got was the things I talked about before, about like the human anatomy, and we took tests over it. So it's not like even a sexual subject for us. It's like, how many days, like how long is a period for this and that, like how long does it take for the sperm to go inside the yeah. So yeah, and we learn about testosterone and estrogen, and male education is very important. Yeah, because the more those things are hid in the closet and shunned upon, and you know, like we're embarrassed to talk about it and it's taboo, like people learn it from poor sources like porn, and most porn is exaggerated and it's not very close to reality, and if you go down the wrong path, then it could go really wrong. Like the narratives that are set in porn are sometimes not very right? So like, yeah, like the entry point of sex education is very important, I would say, and I think the government should definitely intervene and put out a nice curriculum or subject or education session and make it mandatory. But yeah, I don't know how the high school, middle school students nowadays deal with it, to be honest. Yeah, it's so frustrating how men can just walk away and not deal with it. Yeah. Yep. I heard there's a new birth control for men. Yes, I saw that on the news too. I think it's in like the testing phase, and if you take a pill or something, yeah, it's a new birth control pill for men. It's in the development stage, I think. Gynecology. Thank you. Gynecology. Yeah, that's a hard word to pronounce. Gynecology. Let's change topic. Okay, we can change topic. Yeah, we got in deep today. But yeah, there's a lot of interaction in the chat right now. There's an injection for men. Oh, is it injection then? Isn't people's interest in sex in Korea at an all-time low anyway? I would beg to differ. I think the interest in sex is at an all-time high. The interest in dating and committing to a relationship and marriage is an all-time low. So there's a drastic difference between those two. So people who want fun are on an all-time high, I would say. Good conversation though. Yep. It's needed. It's needed. Okay, let's go on to the next topic. It's another needed subject. Pretty embarrassing. exposing Korea for today. Seoul taxis under fire after Japanese TV reveals driver overcharging foreign tourists. So in the channel TBS News Dig, two reporters and a videographer presented themselves as tourists and took a taxi from Myeongdong to Hongdae. And the Korean driver reportedly set the fare at 45,000 won? What the fuck? Citing heavy traffic and switched off the meter before starting the ride? That is crazy. I mean, I would like to be a biased enough patriotic Korean person to say like this is a framed trap investigation from these Japanese reporters given their nationality, but unfortunately this is a common reality. It's especially from Incheon Airport. So if you come to Korea, never get on a cab that refuses to turn on the meter. It is illegal to turn off the meter. So always see if the person sets the meter up, and the meter cannot be tampered with. Of course, people who go the extra length to like tamper with the meter, then you can't do anything about it. Or you could just Google the minimum fare. But if it's not that case, never go on a cab without a meter, and never go on a cab where the taxi drivers are outside and try to haggle with you. They're like, "Oh, where are you going? Myeongdong, Hongdae, oh, Gwanghwamun," and then they're like, "Oh, very cheap price, oh, come, cheap," and then they get you on their cab and they say like, it's like, "Oh, you just give me $50," something like that, and you're getting ripped off. So either you have Kakao Taxi installed, which not a lot of tourists know about when they set foot fresh off the boat from the airport. I would just have that principle in mind, like go by the meter, and if the person touches the meter or something or turns it off in the middle, you just intimidate the F out of them. Like, no, like take a picture or like whatever, and say that you're gonna call like the police or yeah. But there are so many cases like this. I've heard some victims of this. And this article, it says they went from Myeongdong to Hongdae. Even at peak rush hour, that would take max like maybe 30 to 40 minutes, I would say, Myeongdong to Hongdae. And that would be, they said they paid 45,000 won. That would be half the price of that. Yeah. Taxi prices, they've increased over time, but they're still cheap to American standards, what my American friends say. So that would, yeah, that's like double the price. There's Uber in Seoul, right? I'm not sure about this because Uber was banned in terms of normal taxis. Yeah. So there's a thing called Uber Black, I think. But anything like Uber, or there was a app service called Tada too, where unlicensed taxi driver or just personal individuals were just using their own cars, just like Uber service, right? They were doing it, but the taxi drivers of Korea, they have their own union and they did massive protests against these services. So it drove out, from what I know, Uber. And unless it's like a premium grade where like the taxi driver is licensed and is operating under like a government issued license and they have like a bigger premium car, I think they could register under the Uber app as like a Uber Black or whatever. But from my knowledge, the general Uber concept is non-existent in Korea. Like, if you're not licensed as a taxi driver, you just can't go out and be like an Uber driver. That's not allowed. And for the Tada case, that was a huge controversy in Korea too, because I don't even remember, but it was like a third-party app. What was the issue with Tada? That app was shut down, basically shut down by all the taxi drivers too. And what was the case? I don't remember. Was it because of the vans? No, they still got the vans. 타다 이슈에 대해 알려줘. 영어로. 택시 운전사들 반발. Let's see. I need to refresh my memory. So what is Tada? Tada was a ride-hailing service launched in 2018 in South Korea. Unlike traditional taxis, it operated through 11-seater rental vans. Yeah, that's what I thought too, yeah. The company used a legal loophole that allowed rental cars with drivers if the vehicle had more than 11 seats. Yes, by doing this, Tada could function similarly to Uber or Lyft, but remain technically legal under Korean law. Oh, okay. So, first of all, Uber and Lyft, they were ruled out because unless you have like a taxi driver license, you cannot operate as a driver. But Tada was the service that used that loophole of if you have a bigger car with more than 11 seats, like a van, that doesn't require you to have a taxi driver license. So when that service came up and a lot of people started using the rental vans and becoming like their own individual driving services, the taxi drivers said that essentially Tada was a disguised taxi service that bypassed the regulations and licenses, and it felt like the Tada service was lowering their incomes and would worsen passengers, the passenger influx as it shifted to Tada. And it was unfair competition because traditional taxi drivers must buy expensive taxi licenses, following strict operation rules and pay various fees. Tada drivers, however, only needed to rent vans, creating a perception of unfair business conditions. So there were massive protests by the taxi unions in large scale, and in 2019 to 2020, the Korean government passed a law banning ride-hailing services from using rental vans with drivers unless it was for tourism purposes. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. In short, Uber is illegal too. And as I told you, there are like premium services where you can register under Uber if you have like a registered taxi license and stuff. Yeah. Kakao should have a kiosk at the airport for tourists. Yes, Kakao Taxi is the best option. Maybe I should make a service. Trustworthy foreigner app. Don't get scammed. I think this happens everywhere, unfortunately. Yeah. How much usually from airport to say Myeongdong? I would say, give or take, it's pretty far away from Incheon to Myeongdong, so it's gonna be an hour and a half, hour to an hour and a half ride, I would say. So maybe 3만 won, 30,000 won to 40,000. Let me actually check. Yeah, to dollars that would convert to $25 or something. Let's see. 인천공항에서 명동. Let's see. By cab. Oh shit! No, it's super expensive. Yeah, I was wrong. Sorry guys, that was misinformed. Yeah, I should have put in more because it's definitely from Incheon. So it's 64,000 won, which is like give or take $50. Yes, $50 is about right. 64,000 won according to Naver Map. And plus the toll gates and other miscellaneous fees, then it should add up to $55 to $60 in dollars. Yeah, so it's a pretty hefty price, I would say. So I don't know, like honestly, if you're not like okay, maybe some rich people or people with like humongous bags to carry, they wouldn't have any other choice but to use the taxi. But if you just have like a carrier bag, I would just take the airport train. That's like $2. And you go to Seoul Station way more faster than a taxi. So I've never even thought of it. I think, yeah, only rich people or people with like, I don't know, a band or someone on business that has like golf clubs or whatever. But other than that, I don't know why people would take a taxi. Or if they're like disabled maybe. But like still, like you could go on the airport train too. Like we have elevators and stuff. Yeah. But if you have to take a taxi, Naver Map says 64,001 with the toll gate fees. So it'd be around like $50 to $60, around that range. Yeah. Honestly, from the airport to Myeongdong, the subway is perfectly fine unless you're coming in real late. Yeah, exactly. Oh, if you're real late, okay, that makes sense. But then if you're really late, past midnight, there's also a midnight fare. So there, it adds like 1.2 or 1.5x to the meter. It's about 60,000 won, yes. You took taxi from Incheon to Myeongdong. Damn, Jessica, you rich. Or maybe if you're with your parents and you just want like a more convenient ride and you don't want to go up the stairs and navigate your way through. And yeah. Friend, send a PayPal, yay. And 1.5 hour is a long way. That's like 45 to 50 bucks, yes. Yeah, so I was definitely off in my first prediction. But yeah, the airport train is always the best way. I would always recommend. Isn't suppressing competition from Uber contrary to the sacred principles of capitalism? Yeah, that's why a lot of the citizens were super against it. So this was a huge thing. But at the end of the day, the taxi unions won over because there's such a united front. And they're a profit group at the end of the day. And this affects their livelihood. And they just had more political power against like the lawmakers, and also by current law it seemed unfair. So yeah, they had the upper hand, and a lot of people really just were sad and stressed out of the disappearance of Tada. Like we weren't even complaining about Uber. Like Uber wasn't even like a thing because Korean people didn't even know about it back in the day. But Tada, a lot of my friends and a lot of my bosses back then, they had the luxury to actually use Tada a lot because like those vans are very comfy. They're very premium. You get like chargers and water and like it's extra space. You can have your laptop on and like just chill, just like jack the seats back. And a lot of people use Tada because it was just only like an extra fare. Like if you're going to A to B and it's within the city, it's just going to be a couple like surplus of 10 more dollars, $5 more. And if people want that deluxe experience, like you go for Tada. So a lot of people that I knew that were better off in their wallet situations, they used Tada a lot. And I guess the taxi drivers felt that and they were threatened with their livelihood. So yeah. David, read the comments. Yeah, I'm always like very lagged. The limousine buses are good too. Yes, that's an alternative option. I would say the limousine buses only cost. Let me not spread fake news. I think last time I was on it, it was like $9. Limousine 버스 비용 인천공항까지. Yeah, last time I was on it, it was like $7 to $9, was it? No, actually, fake news again. Is this inflation or am I outdated? It says it's 17,001, so that's probably $13, $14. It's not bad compared to a taxi, right? and the drivers come out and they take all your luggage and put it all inside the bus for you. I was actually kind of scared when I was in Heathrow, and taking the limousine bus to the coaches to central London, when the baggages, like there were a couple stops, and my stop was like the third one out, and I was on my edge every single time because you guys made me paranoid about the UK and London so much that, like, oh, watch out for your stuff, you know, like never put out your phone, like always like be on the watch out for your luggage and stuff. I was like on the edge, and I sat right next to the window, and I was like looking every single time I was at a stop where the cab driver, the bus drivers were putting out the luggage for the passengers getting out, in fear that someone would snatch my luggage and run away. But that didn't happen. But I did hear that there were cases that some gangs or groups targeted limo buses from the airport, and once they stopped at like a particular stop, they just like ganged up against like the driver and took all the luggage. Yeah, I did hear that from somewhere. So yeah. Are there buses that pick up passengers at the airport and drop off to hotels? Yes, there are private services like that. I've heard of one other service. They actually have an app, but I don't remember. Because I'm sorry that I have limited and outdated information about this to the extent that it goes to fake news, because like I'm not the main consumer here, right? I'm a resident here, so I wouldn't have like the tourist experience, like the tourist path of like, you know, navigating through. I'm just like, you know, I just get out, go to the airport trains straight away and pay my $2, and I'm at Gongdong, my house, in like 40 minutes. Very convenient. Very chilly down there because the air conditioning's blasting. We took a deluxe taxi from the airport one time and it came out to more than $100. Deluxe taxis, 모범 taxis, the black ones with yellow hoods, like the yellow caps on it, those ones are the deluxe. Learn my lesson. Never take so-called deluxe taxis. Yeah, never. You should start a Kpop van service, right? Like a Kpop star. Oh, actually? And then you have like Kpop karaoke inside, like you're rehearsing for your... And then you straight off, it's a private service where it takes you to your hotel and then goes straight, it drops you at the hotel, waits for you, and then it takes you to all the K-pop relevant places like Hybe, like SM and all that, and the you know, the BTS restaurants. Oh, got something brewing there. You know what? Actually, let me actually screen cap this. Yeah, I'm always down for nice business ideas, and this is right down my alley too. Okay, let me send it to my secret notes on Kakao Talk, where I always put down ideas, but they always get buried. David the professional yapper, yes. How much have I been yapping on for? An hour and 47 minutes. That's impressive. And 265 people watching. Thank you. And 113 people liked so far. So we're halfway there. So please don't forget to like the stream. And apparently the stream gets more widespread if there's more engagement in the chat. So every other while, you know, feel free to spam any messages. Now, I guess that's why people give streamers give like dual selection questions and make people chat simple things. to boost the engagement. Ida, thank you so much for the 10 on PayPal. Pizza, thank you so much. Thank you. And Rachel, call your service Korean pizza taxi. Give free pizza to your customers and it will be a hit. That's great. The Kpop taxi plus the KPC taxi. That's awesome. I would like to support this venture. Oh, really? Okay. Wow, you guys are chatting a lot today. I think I'm able to yap on so much thanks to your chats. That's not a bad idea. I know, right? Ooh. You used Uber in May in Seoul? I'm pretty sure that's one of those like premium Uber taxis. Let me check. So I might be outdated again, but last time I checked, by law, Uber, unless it's that premium type of taxi, Uber is 우버 한국에서 가능. Let's see. Waiting. See? Yes, Uber is available in Korea, but with important limitations and differences from its usual global platform. Uber in South Korea is taxi-based. It's not ride-sharing. In South Korea, a traditional ride-sharing model where ordinary individuals drive their personal cars is not allowed by law. Instead, Uber operates by partnering with licensed taxi services. The service is known locally as UT, Uber plus Tmap Taxi, formed through a partnership between Uber and the popular Korean navigation app Tmap, allowing users to hail licensed taxis via the Uber app. Yeah, so you could use Uber, but I don't think it's the same concept. Yeah, it's not the same concept as anywhere else in the world. It's basically a taxi service. Yeah, but I don't know why people would use Uber above Kakao T. I guess like if you're from like another country and you already have Uber installed on your app, then you can use it. But from my knowledge, Uber taxi services, the registered amount of taxis under Uber are far less than Kakao Taxi. So you would have probably a little bit of a disadvantage of getting a cab if you're in like a populated area in those kind of scenarios. If you're like in the airport and there are a lot of taxis waiting for you, there'll probably be like an Uber taxi there. But if you're like, let's say in Hongdae, in the middle of Hongdae on Friday night at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and you're trying to grab a cab, I would go to Kakao Taxi rather than Uber. Like, heck, you can't even grab a taxi with Kakao T on those kind of time zones. There you go. Now you're thinking about my plans. Let me steal your idea. Can I get your permission to steal your idea? Let me put it on paper, on screen over here. Type yes. Business ideas, yes. Yesterday I saw like someone, here we go, another yapping session, but yesterday I was scrolling through Instagram and I got so butthurt and salty because when I was visiting Sweden, I was invited to my host's party and I met a lot of locals there, and I learned that Swedish people love to drink too. They can't socialize without drinking sessions. Very similar to Korea. I like that part. And they can be very intense with drinking as well too. Like, yeah, they get pretty drunk. And I was like, oh, so how do you handle your hangovers? And of course everyone had their own measures to deal with hangover, but in Korea of course we have hangover soup, but we have those bottles of either liquid or jelly types or hard pill types, like little balls that are you take it before you drink and mid drinking and after drinking. It's like a 3-time process or a 2-time. You can omit one, but it's called 숙취 해소제 means like you take it afterwards. But anyways, there are these medicinary substances like a lot of Korean people take. I don't know what you call it. but it's very widespread here because like everyone drinks, and it's supposed to alleviate the amount of hangover, the seriousness of the hangover you get the next day. So I always take these pills beforehand, and they're like herbal kind of things. They're not like, like super strong, whatever. And they really help. They really help because like with and without those before drinking, I've experienced very lighter symptoms of hangover in terms of like headaches or throwing up or nauseous feelings and such. So I was like I was talking to the Swedes over there, and do you have anything like this? And they're like, I haven't heard of any. And I know that there are foreign versions of it. I know that there's a famous Russian pill that's even famous in Korea. Like they say like that's very strong. It's called RU21. So we have that too, but our Korean versions, I would say, are better, like more compatible with like our bodies. So I was thinking like, oh, this is a legit business. Like, I was just joking with the locals there, like, you know what, I should import that into Sweden or Scandinavia over here where you guys like to drink, and some other countries that have a massive drinking culture, and introduce this. Like, they'd be thrilled, and the locals were like, yeah, I would love to try that, But then yesterday I was on Instagram and I saw this, Korean guy. He's very attractive and way younger than me. He's like, has that typical CEO look, and he made this. He actually, like the exact thing I was talking about. He localized like an American version of it with the same ingredients from like the Korean ones, and he put a new brand on it, and he's like marketing through his like content and social media. And I was like, damn, people who just do it. I think I haven't examined too far into like the business and stuff, but it looked like it had proper marketing and like packaging, and he was trying to expand into the US market. So I was like, damn, people who execute, who just do it and just do it first, really get that edge. So I was like, dang, I should have done it first. But maybe I can make the European version now. Yeah. Okay, that was on a tangent. David has to wait until his Bitcoin goes to Mars to venture into the new business ideas. Yeah, it does. I have to wait until it goes to Pluto, not Mars. How about riding with the K-pop star? Now that would be popular. Oof. Yeah, but like, how am I gonna get a K-pop star? Should OnlyFans be legal in Korea? I don't think it's ever gonna be legal. I don't have a lot to say today, but pizza, thank you. You would invest too? Really? Really? Okay, we're gonna have a collective investor session next week. Actually, I have a call with a potential investor on Tuesday, just in general about my vision about the channel and content and what I'm doing right now. Like, very generous people and supporters out there that have always been reaching out to me, even with the situation from my previous content studio and now as well too. So yeah, like, if you're really down, send me the email. If you have ideas, if you think some of these things we discussed actually have a potential and you want me to be the front, call me. You can have different taxi offers like K-pop, K-food, K-culture. Yeah, but we probably have to do a lot of market research first, because this is all in my head, but all like presumptions. But I would say the base point K-pop consumer is probably like on the younger side. If you look at the demographics for just K-pop in general and K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of them are on the younger side, and not a lot of them have very fat wallets. So as I told you, like a ride from the airport to Central Seoul would take a lot. And if that's like a premium service with like K-pop themes and stuff, it would boost up the price a little bit more. So like these consumers would probably take the airport train or a cheaper, options. So it would have to be like a VIP, very targeted, niched service. But then there's problems about scalability and actual sales and whatnot. So there'd have to be a lot of like, mock sessions and market research in general. I don't know. Yeah, but skepticism is always good in a matter, but and not skepticism, but like criticism. Yeah, optimism is also very important, but the important thing also is that statistically 90% of all the businesses go bankrupt or broke. So before you actually get into too much optimism, it's always good to get like a third person point of view or objective criticism. I just took like a spin right now. So anyways, if you're interested, let me know. Thank you for your donation from Ruby Rage. Thank you for the $1 pizza. I think that maybe that's a default message set by YouTube. If you send a message without, if you send a super chat without. Raising my hand to invest. Really? You guys really just sending off blank comments here. What time Tuesday? Actually, to be real, I'm having a Zoom meeting at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, KST. David is going to be the James Corden of Korea. K-pop is so big right now, you should go for this, and there's a gap in the market. Yeah, I do. As I told you last time with my friends, we've been feeling FOMO real hard every single day, seeing all these headlines and articles, seeing K-pop Demon Hunters topping Spotify, Netflix, even surpassed Squid Game, and Stray Kids getting like 7 weeks consecutive, I think, on Billboard. BTS just rocking it, Blackpink. Global ambassadors of every brand out there. It's crazy. Authentic K, BBQ, and other food stops. Yeah, like if I just had the courage to take that leap and just make an authentic food chain in wherever right now, it'd be an instant hit. But then at the end of the day, also business isn't that easy. So I should be really prepared, and it should be really down in my own professional alley. Like I can't suddenly jump into like transportation or food without proper research and training and all that, right? But I definitely have an upper hand because I have this platform, so I've been intending to utilize it ever since. And I think there's a lot of people that are interested mutually as well too, either it be investors or my friends or other creators that want to create a joint community to make a business. So I've recently been hanging out with a bunch of creators, like 3 of them actually, and we're thinking of maybe just thinking. It's so hard to get past that thinking, brainstorming phase. We're like, oh, we got the platforms, we got the people, and we've always seen foreigners struggle with getting like accommodation in Korea, either through real estate, like they always get like blocked by local real estate people because like they don't speak English, or the landlords don't like foreigners or whatever, and a lot of international students come to Korea but they can't make it inside like the dorms, so they have to take like expensive prices to one rooms or koshi ones that have very rundown, so we were like, why not we go excavate like maybe rundown or location residences that are empty, and maybe lease it or buy it or whatever if it's the right price, and renovate it or just clean it up and make it a safe space, and like it's going to be located right next to probably a university or a foreigner friendly area, and then market it through our platforms. make it a clean space, tidy it up, and maybe lower the prices for international students, like a share house for like especially females that are pretty wary about who they're living with. Like it would probably be more assurable with like fellow females, right? So like female roommates and like it could be something like that, and then our potential plan would be like to partner with like the Yonsei University, Korean Academy, Yonsei Okdang, or these universities, and they could like list us as their third party but verified accommodations that are safe and recommendable to their students if they run out of dorm spaces. So we're like, that's a good model, like it's passive income, it's in some cases maybe real estate, and it's utilizing our audience, and it's providing value and a safe space for so like, and then we could make multis here and there from Korea University, Yonsei University, Ewha University, all around Hongdae. So we were just thinking about that, but then it's in the air, but always down for many business ideas. If you have any reverse proposals to me, send it through email. I'm serious. Like, I'm always looking. I'm always hungry. I'm always a money guy. So yeah. Okay. Needs business plan first. Exactly. It's time K brands got their due. Yeah, that APR dude, like he's the youngest millionaire or billionaire in Korea with making Medicube and April Skin and Photo Gray. Like, not to downplay his achievements and accolades, but if you really strip it down to the bottom, at the core of it, like, it's easy to say from a far distance. Of course, he put in blood, sweat, and tears. I can't say, I can't imagine. But like at the end, it's just like he did aggressive foreign targeted marketing, and he just switched like the K-beauty market, like the K-beauty brands, into like a more foreign oriented product category, and the branding and everything like that, and it just got huge. He did localized influencer marketing with Western celebrities, not K-pop stars, and now it's like going viral as crazy. Okay. Yeah, I gotta stop yapping because this stream is gonna end up being 3 hours again. Hey, from Florida, I always miss your live. Catch you live today. Thank you, Evta. Glad to have you. Any tourism initiatives would be good at the moment, especially those for solo travelers. Yeah. Given that SK has a large influx of tourists, you should take advantage. For sure. Yes. So probably I'm going to discuss the scope of things, services I can provide on Tuesday with the person. And yeah. Good idea sounds better than Koshi ones. Yep. We love long streams. Okay. Yeah, like an Airbnb. Because Airbnbs are illegal in Korea too. Not all of them, but 90% of them are probably going to go become illegal by this year. This is like the probation period. Okay, so yeah, let's go on because this is getting too long. Oh, we've already passed the 2-hour point. Okay, so next thing is to share a little bit of my life this week. I've been busy with a lot of things too, but I had some time to decompress and invest for myself and my mom as well. She's up here because of my grandpa's situation. But yeah, since she was here, I felt like, I had to be with her for some time, not related to my grandpa or anything, just get some fresh air. So the right occasion just happened because Frieze, or however you pronounce it, Frieze or Frieze, KIAF Seoul 2025. A quieter opening, stronger Asian presence. So these are very big art exhibitions, art fairs. The Frieze one is very global, and KIAF is Korean exclusive. And 300 galleries took part, and it was attended by art lovers, collectors, curators, and a lot of people. There were works from a lot of famous artists, including Korean ones like Baek Namjoon. Hakgoje is a very famous gallery in Korea as well. I saw very famous Korean artists like Park Sobo or Ibe, and just to introduce you to some of these Korean artists. So there was a very big LG display collaboration with Park Sobo. I think he's already passed away. Yeah, probably. But he's very famous for his colorful. I don't know what to describe it as, but let me just show you intuitively. So he's one of Korea's most well-known painters, artists, and he has these geographical what do you call it? My English right now is not functioning. Geometrical, yeah, is that the right word? These kind of paintings, it's kind of postmodern. It's modern, yeah, modern art. They're like geometrical designs, I would say, and they have very vivid colors with spaces in between, but it just gives you some kind of feel of comfort and balance, I would say. Yeah, and there are a lot of pieces from him, and he's just a landmark artist in the Korean art scene. And a lot of his pieces, the real ones, were at KIAF. Yeah, he's passed away. When did he pass away? It's 2023, so yeah, very recent. It was at KIAF recently, and I was like, wow, I want a piece. No, it's very expensive. I could never afford a piece. I could if I tried hard enough, but yeah, I don't know if I'm that rich enough to invest in art. But Park Sobo, he's very famous too, and another artist I really like is Ibe. His art is like brush strokes, very vivid and strong, aggressive brush strokes where you can feel the energy. And if you look at this, you can see the vibes over here. It's a wave of brush strokes over here. I like the more simple ones, maybe like this or this over here. But they seem like doodles and scribbles, but it just seems somewhat different, you know? It just seems somewhat more elegant, and yeah, I don't think people would be able to recreate this even if they, thought it was super simple and they tried to do it, because you probably have to have an even level of dynamic and strength and skill to do these waves with the brushes and stuff, and he probably uses a gigantic wave. So I like his work. And for Baek Namjoon, he's one of the most famous postmodern artists. He uses a lot of medium TVs, brown, what do you call them? Brown gun? Yeah, the old TVs to express his thoughts. Yeah, and this is one of his most famous artworks, Dadaiksan. It means the more the better. As you can see, so many TVs. He makes sculptures or art forms with his TVs and stuff. And he's the father of video art in Korea. So very impressive. And of course, there were a lot of other international artists' pieces in Frieze too. KIAF is mostly Korean because the Korean galleries participate, but in Frieze I saw so many. Who was there? There was David Hockney. No, I was glad to see him because we share the same name. There's David Hockney. There was Tom Sachs. More on the modern side, not the super old Renaissance artist. There was the Japanese big three. I always have trouble pronouncing the names. The woman with the pumpkin with a lot of dots. Kusama Yaoi. Yeah, Kusama Yaoi. Yeah, hers was here. Kusama Yayoi. Yeah, like her name's hard to pronounce for me. Yeah, hers was there, and the other big three. You know the one that did the collab with New Jeans. What's his name again? It's so hard to pronounce. With the rainbow. Collab. Yeah, what was his name? I forgot his name. Damn. I just saw it yesterday. Why don't you show his name? I'm looking for it. There you go. Murakami Dakashi. Yes. Such a long name. This dude over here. Yeah, you'll recognize his work immediately. Yep. There was an authentic work of him in the gallery as well too, in the exhibition. I like this guy. He's so like he's so colorful. Yeah. Murakami, yes, exactly. I get confused because Murakami is also like Murakami Haruki is another super famous Japanese literature writer, and this guy's name is Murakami as well too. But their surnames, no, their names are different. Takashi, his name is Takashi. Evika, thank you. The streams are never too long. Like I said once before, this is my therapy. It's probably harder for you to talk for so long than it's for me to listen. I always learn something new. So thanks. Thank you so much, Evika. Pizza. Yeah, Hobie has hung out with him. Yes, he's done a lot of collabs with artists. And speaking of Hobie, and Kpop, so the reason I brought Frieze was because missed opportunity. I was there, but one step late. So look at who was there. Look at who was there. Me just sighing. I'm like, why did you have to go one day before me? V. So BTSV was at Frieze, and apparently RM and Lisa was there too the day before. But I'd love to meet RM, but my bias has always been V, and he was just casually hanging out there. And it's sad that someone like, you know, intruded his privacy and took a video of him. But yeah, he was there. I missed Namjoon. Oh, Jimin was there too? I didn't know Jimin was there. I heard that RM was there and Tae was there. So, anyways, I was there. I posted all my stuff on my Instagram. If you go to JustDavid92, like I was at Frieze and like I posted all the vibes. This was the Paksobo LG OLED TV collab. And if you go over here, the BMW with Lee Gun-young, he's another famous Korean artist as well. And the Tom Sachs Pablo Picasso one with a lot of moon jars, myself, and display. And wow, this was interesting. It was like levitating stones. Yeah, that was interesting too. And oh, I invested in crypto. Yes, of course I had to post about this. Only what you can afford to lose, right? And then his facial expression is me. And then Kusama, I forgot his name, but this one was the most expensive piece that got sold at Frieze yesterday. Yeah, and this dude, I think it's a dude, Ugo Rondonine, I forgot how to pronounce, but I saw his piece at a desert when I was on my way to Las Vegas, I think, a while ago, and I think RM had a picture with him too. Like this is like a squirmed up bumblebee Volkswagen. Very interesting pieces, like combination with media art. You can see like it's snowing, probably not on the screen, but using Korean traditional techniques. And oh, this one was interesting too, like infinite castle vibes. Another Puxable piece I want to have. Cakes. Oh, doggos. And Korean architecture, eBays. And like the general vibes and all that. And I had this. I walked like so many steps. I burned like 1,400 calories or something like that. I have extra Kpop and such. So if you want to see all of that, go follow me on justdavid_92 on Instagram. I post all these real-time live encounters there. It's 3:30 at my place. Yes. Beautiful art. Yes. If you want to meet K, just pop open a Coke and he'll appear. He's everywhere. Coke Zero. Yes. Looks amazing. Yeah. Beautiful art. Tay loves his contemporary art. RM's like the most artsy type, I would say. He's always been into art a lot. Oh my gosh, the aircon is getting super cold. Let me... There we go. Yeah, so, yeah, it was fun. It was a nice day off for me. I went Friday, just before the rain started, so it was a really good timing. I got knocked out afterwards because like I walked so much. My mom and I had 2 meals after. She enjoyed it a lot too. And yeah, I missed Tay. But anyways, it was fun. So next topic is my mom actually offered me to, you know, like spend more time with her after Frieze and KIAF, and she was like, oh, Seongsu's nearby and heard that place is poppin' nowadays, so she wanted to explore. But I went there recently and I was kind of tired and I had to catch up with work too, so I was like, yeah, we had more than a half day at KIAF, so let's just go home. I'm kind of exhausted too. So we did go to Seongsu, but the reason I'm talking about this is because recently Gentle Monster, the Korean eyewear brand with a lot of glasses, shades, and all that, they've completed their new building in Seongsu. It's become a landmark. The architecture is crazy, avant-garde, and they had like Tilda Swinton and other Western celebs visit, and they actually have a new muse, and I'm very happy about it because their previous muse was Jennie. Nothing against Jennie, right? Like, I love Jennie. She's an icon. She's always been like at the forefront of trends. So yeah, Gentle Monster used Jennie for a long time as their brand ambassador, but now they have changed their brand ambassador to the one and only. There you go. Karina, yes, my favorite Karina. Gentle Monster struck gold with Karina. Oh, look at her. Look at her over there. Karina, who's been teaming up with Gentle Monster for various campaigns lately, just dropped some behind-the-scenes shots from the House Nowhere event. So this is the Gentle Monster place. Yeah, they have like a lot of weird stuff inside. As you can see, a lot of celebrities from Japan. Kentaro Sakaguchi. I think this is Felix at the Seoul Tambourines, and yeah, Felix again, and yeah, Tilda Swinton was here as well too. It was so random, but she really fits well with the vibe. I think they really did well, like, you know, casting her for this. But like, this is a very futuristic place. I definitely like to visit soon. But yeah, she was there, and who's this? Who's this again? Who's this guy? Presented by Max Seidentopf. Okay, it's probably some artist. Espa Ning Ning was there too. And oh wow, looks awesome. Shushu. Okay. And Ning Ning was it? Oh, Ning Ning. Okay. And of course, my favorite, Karina. Hunter Schaffer. Apparently she's pretty big too. I don't know about her, but she was there too. She got a lot of praise at the Gentle Monster event. Yeah. I don't know if she's a celebrity or actress or influencer, but she was there too apparently. And FKA Twigs, who's that? Ann Curtis, Meow, Meow, yeah. I don't know who any of them are, but yeah, they were all there. Gentle Monster is really selective of brand ambassadors and their brand feel. So, anyways, let's look at some pics of Karina. Oh wow, look at them. I'm delighted. Okay, yeah, she got all the pics. Okay, wow, yes, Karina, go get him. Okay, looking great with those glasses. I do have to say though, like I'm genuinely not complimenting those glasses just because it's on Karina. I think they actually look good. Yeah, right. And we gotta check out those Karina videos at Karina Center and stuff. Because the pictures don't do justice. Yeah. Where are they? I can't find them. Oh well. Yeah, you guys are probably not interested. But yeah. Anyways, going back to Jennie, what happened is Tilda Swinton is appropriately weird. Okay. High fashion is just branding. Fanboy moment and that awesome. Staff David. Do you ever wear glasses? Yeah, I wear glasses. I was wearing glasses right before. These Harry Potter glasses for better vision. But I have my own piece of Gentle Monsters. I don't have them next to me now, but it's in my bag. Yeah, I have a pair of Gentle Monsters too. But now, speaking of Gentle Monsters, so I was like, okay, like it's a bold move. Like I would have thought like they had like a life contract deal with Jennie, because like Jennie has always been the icon, and she's still like plastered in Seongsu. If you go there, like that's the Brooklyn of Korea nowadays, and where all the hippies and the hipsters and fashionable people go to. And I was surprised every corner of Seongsu was plastered with Jennie's like Adidas ads, or either it be what other brands does she does, but anyways, all those. But right after the Gentle Monster new house opening, I was shocked because Jennie is now partnering with RayBan. RayBan's new star is Jennie, and they did a pop-up in Seoul, and she was there. She was spotted there. This is Jennie's first major eyewear appearance since wrapping up her iconic partnership with Gentle Monster. And the timing of this is so aggressive, won't you say? It's right after the Gentle Monster thing. And I don't know, it might be bold, and I love Ray-Bans because they're just so classic. I think the model she's wearing is a little bit on the newer side, obviously, and they look good, right? But I would say, like, is this, like, this triggered the thought, like, is this actually a good image? A good, is this good optics for her? Because, like, it feels like you've ended a deal with Gentle Monster, and there's no problem with that in this capitalistic society. And but you know, they just opened their new building, and like a day after, or like, you know, in the same time period, you're at this RayBan pop-up event, and it's like a direct competitor. You just like transited right away from being a muse of this brand to another one. And no hate, no shade at all. I think like she did a badass move. But one part of me thinks like, what other brands in the future potentially would want to, of course there would be lines and lines of brands that don't even care about those kind of things, that would die to work with Jennie. But still, I was like, yeah. You think RayBan poached her? Maybe. Maybe. Jennie can pull that off. She's above it all. Yeah. I think the message is don't mess with Jennie. Oof. I feel like she picked them because they are more global. Yeah. Well, all K-pop idols still uses iPhone when they're Samsung ambassadors, or immediately show off their iPhones when their contracts end with Samsung. Yeah, but like this is another level of aggressive. You know, it's badass. Yeah. Every brand wants the Midas touch. Technically, RayBan's is 100% more global and mainstream than Gentle Monster. That's true. That's true. Yeah, and she probably got like so much money from RayBan, so there's no reason not to. But you know, there are rare occasions, like unrelated, but since the U.S. Opens are now in procedure, and it's very sad to see Djokovic losing at the semifinals against Alcaraz, but the new generation is popping. But anyways, you know, Koreans love Nadal a lot. That's a very random fact. Rafael Nadal from Spain. He was one of the big three of tennis, with Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic. They were the golden era. It's sad to see, like, yeah, that's sinking now, with the last being Novak. But yeah, anyways, Nadal is loved by a lot of Koreans. He's probably a fan favorite of a lot of Korean fans. And it's because when he was a rookie, he was sponsored by Kia, the Korean car brand, Kia, right? And even with his ups and downs, and until he became the clay god and goat and the big three, and like, you know, equal to like Federer and all of that, he stuck. He never switched his main sponsor from Kia, and he still advertises for them to this day. I think recently he might have switched, but no, I don't know. I think he's still with Kia, but he's always been very, very supportive and actively, you know, promoting Kia. He's gone to like all these big games for the Grand Slams with the new Kia cars, the electricity cars, and the new ones. So because of that, like, that story just touched a lot of people in Korea. And while, you know, the fan favorite of a lot of people would be Roger, in Korea especially, a lot of people love Nadal because, like, he was very loyal to Kia even after he became a superstar. And it's a known fact that he didn't really like up the amount of money he was supposed to get from the brand. I read that in an article too, because like he was like, oh, you were the sponsor that, you know, that supported me when I had potential. Now I would like to give the favor back. And that's very rare. That's very rare. And I think, you know, that shows, that's like a spirit of sportsmanship as well too. And I'm not trying to bash on any other athlete that just switches from Nike to, you know, whatever, Under Armour to Uniqlo. Federer went to Uniqlo, right? After years of probably sponsoring with Wilson, is it? Or some other brand? But yeah, money speaks. But Nadal was very, very loyal. So, anyways, side story. I just got reminded. There are some cases like this in the celebrity scene, where like even in the K-pop scene, where this celebrity is just so loyal to this brand, and that just becomes a story of itself, and it elevates the celeb itself and the brand too. Yeah, but Nadal is a real one. Just saying. Shout out to Nadal for always going with Kia. Oh, look at him. Such a nice lad. Yeah. Nadal with the Kia's new EV9. Yeah, always showing up from day one to now. signing all the EV6s. Like, oh, I think he's rode probably all the Kia models so far. The Stinger, like even these unpopular ones too. What the heck? What is this car? I don't even remember that car. But he's a real one. He's a real one. Yeah. If I were a celeb, I'd probably be loyal to a brand too. Yeah, especially if that brand reached out to me when I only had potential, right? But money speaks in this world, and if you're at like the tier of Jennie, like you can probably select from all the options you have. Nice story. Yep. Standard competitor marketing strategy. Timing says both were planning fierce competition. They each had a marketing splash. It's about getting market share. Yeah. Gentle Monster is expanding very fast and aggressive, I would say. I was surprised because Gentle Monster was only like a local brand a few years ago. And with the power of Jennie, I think she contributed a lot for sure. But when I was in a lot of places, like in the airports, nowadays a lot of duty-free sections have Gentle Monsters there. I think when I was even in Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, there was a Gentle Monster there too, with its weird installations. I think I saw one in London too, in central London somewhere. It's been here and there. It's been in a lot of places. I was at a random mall in Orange County. I saw a Gentle Monster there too. So it's definitely trying to Pac-Man its way out through the sunglass market share. Nowadays in Korea, I think like the young folks only go for Gentle Monster. It's like you have this weird corny feeling if you go for any of those luxury brands from Italy or France. Yeah, only the ajumas would wear, I don't know, like a Prada or Givenchy or Dolce or whatever, Armani. There are those sunglass brands, right? And then RayBans are always like a regular, but RayBans have been like a pretty daily kind of vibe, I would say. Like, you know, people just going outside, walking their dogs, going to outdoor cafes or the beach for a stroll, then that's the time for a RayBan. But like Koreans in particular, I'm just talking about Koreans, I don't know shit about like foreigners and their perception about Ray-Bans, but they've always been like a staple image for us. But it's always like we get two pieces. If we are to get two pieces of sunglasses, it would either be like one Ray-Ban in the old days, and it would be like a luxury brand. So I have like a Tom Ford or something I got from a duty-free shop. But nowadays, if you have a Tom Ford on, it's like I'm sorry, like, okay, this is racist as hell. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but like it. People think you're from a certain ethnicity if you have a big luxury brand logo on, like gigantic sunglasses. And to avoid that, a lot of people have been moving on to Gentle Monster, where they have more experimental and maybe Gen Z type of designs with smaller glasses, like, you know, the Gen Z ones like this, or white frames, or, you know, no frames at all, like the one Karina's wearing. So yeah, like if you go to like Hyundai department store or any of the department stores in Korea, like the Gentle Monster flagships or the pop-ups, they're always swarming with people. It's crazy. Nah, screw Ray-Ban. Yo, Gentle Monster is taking over. I hope so. Yeah, K sunglasses, let's go. Oh, really? Giorgio Armani passed away. Rest in peace. I didn't know. Of course you did, David. It's Orange County, California, always showing off the global brands. Orange County, that's so random. What were you doing there? I don't know. I was probably in Anaheim for VidCon or what, KCon or something, and then we visited the, what is it, the Score? No, it's called the something. It's like a Korean thing. It's like a huge complex with Korean restaurants and cafes and brands, and there's even a CGV there. I forgot where that was. We had KBBQ there, and then I think we went to Orange County and like this big mall because someone wanted to go to an Apple store and check out the new iPhone, whatever model it was back then. So yeah, that's how it happened. Kia is nowhere near a premium brand. It has gone through incredible transformation, and its reputation of Europe in recent years. I would recognize that too, because my friend Fatin, he actually works for Hyundai, and while there are brother companies, right, he actually thinks Kia has like a faster growing reputation in terms of positivity among people in UK, and Hyundai Ioniqs and Kia EV6, or that line of electric vehicles, have been a growing presence in Northern Europe. That's at least what he said. Yeah. No hate, but I don't really like the luxury brand show-off competition that everybody seems to be in. Yeah. Have you checked your PayPal today? I saw yours, Hilda. I already shouted out, but shout out again. Thank you, Hilda. Ida, is this a new one? Thank you for the 10. Pizza at 3:14. Oh, you have a message, I think. Oh, Hilda. Yes, I got a message from you. This is a new one. So, David, I'm sorry about what happened to your people. Sending prayers. They can invest in Mexico. We value your companies. They won't have a problem like that. Oh, where'd it go? We like foreigners. Don't listen to the negative comments from that, especially about my country. They don't know. And we love Koreans sending positive energy. That's awesome. And Koreans love Mexico. And we would love to work there. I think there were even plans of building factories there in Mexico. But with the recent advent of and turn of events with the Trump administration, where they give big tax benefits and lower tariffs only if we manufacture and make factories and hire from Americans and American soil, that's, I think, triggering this whole migration to the US. Whereas normally it would be better environments in Mexico and they would probably greet us more. But yeah, that's just the reality right now. But yeah, thanks. The source, yes, finally, yeah. What did I say it was? The sauce or something? The source, yes, Orange County. Yeah, I was right in front of Disneyland. I stayed at the Hilton over there. I wonder how many oranges are in Orange County. I got my peaches from Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. Are there a lot of peaches from Georgia? 70th anniversary for Disneyland. Yeah, I went to Anaheim so many times. Like, it's always because the convention center is there. So I went like 3 consecutive times to Anaheim. So the first time I went to Disneyland, the second time I went, the third time, even if it was right in front of me, I'd never even bothered to go inside, although I love it. So I was lucky enough to go to when it got its new... Like, first time I went, I think the Galaxy of Guardians part was unfinished. And then the next year I visited, it was finished. And there was a new Star Wars ride too, so I got to get those two as well, and it was super fun. Yeah. And then I think I on the third time I didn't go to Disney. I actually went to Universal, and they had this new section of what was it? Oh, they had the new Mario Land, I think. That was fun. Well, I don't honestly. If I were to just go check out those Harry Potter, Mario theme lands, I could just go to Tokyo. Or I think Shanghai has one too. I'm not sure about that, but Tokyo or either one of those cities have one. Yeah. Georgia is known for peaches? Okay. I've never been to either Disney Park or Universal. So yeah, this is the like I'll brag for a bit and I'm just acknowledging my privilege over here. Being a YouTuber has treated me so well because you know how Disney and Universal ticket prices are crazy. When I saw like the actual value of the ticket, like it's written there, like, you know, general admission, whatever, like blah blah blah. I don't remember, but it was super super expensive, and I feel like being a frugal person as I am, I wouldn't have spent my own money to go. But I always had someone who was like watching my stories, and they were like, "Oh, I actually work for Disney. You know, if you have some time, I'd love to, you know, invite you through, and I could get you tickets and also a 50% discount at like this restaurant in the Disneyland." So actually, like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that was such a great experience, and I had two different individuals that reached out to me, and that was so great of an experience. I got to go in free for Universal and Disney, and someone was from Lucasfilms too. So yeah, that was great. Yeah. So these are some of the perks of being a YouTuber, and I get to travel sometimes and couch surf, save accommodation. Same with Texas, same with Sweden, Norway, the UK. So I couldn't have traveled all those places without that support. Honestly, like I couldn't afford hotels in London, an Airbnb in London, or yeah, anywhere around New York or Los Angeles without like being hosted by KCON or VidCon or any of those. Yeah. So super grateful. Amusement parks sound like a good time until you are there and it's hot and crowded and too expensive. Yeah. Hotel prices in London are. Oh, you know what? I actually have like a little bit of a story that hopefully it doesn't, you know, spread too much, like just between us, since we're nearing the end of this stream anyways. So actually, you know, when I was in Los Angeles during this event, this is many years ago, and yeah, this is like way many years ago. So actually, I kind of like had a situationship during like you know, the business trip, and I had plenty of time, and we were kind of feeling each other back then, I would say, but you know, it would end out as like a long distance relationship. So I was like, yeah, this is probably not gonna work, but like I think we probed feelings with each other, so I think both sides wanted to have a good time. So we went out, and I think I got a free Disney ticket back then too, and of course it was like for two people. So I was like, who should I go with? And I went with that person, of course, because I didn't, you know anybody in that area, and of course, like, you know, like little tickly feelings, right? So I invited her out, and she was like, okay, sure, for sure, and we went together to that place, and we went together. It was amazing, and I would say to some extent somewhat romantic. yeah, it happened. And then after that too, after Disneyland, before I left to Korea, that was that. Disneyland was that, and she enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And then right before I went to the airport, we also went out on for like a beach date, like had a last meal together, and hugged her bye, and that was like the wrap up of it. But then later, I heard from like a mutual friend that she kind of expected like a very serious relationship, and the standard, the what do you call it, the metric for that of like why she thought this was going to evolve into a serious relationship was because of Disneyland. And I did not know the connotation behind Disneyland, because for me it was like a free ticket, and yeah, you know, I might have like good feelings for you, good vibes with you, so you know, why not, let's enjoy together. So we went to Disneyland together and we enjoyed, and I thought it was just like a nice experience out. And afterwards, when I heard like from my mutual friend, he was like, David, you don't take girls to Disneyland and just leave it like that. Disneyland means shit. And I was so dumbfounded. I was like, I did not know at all. Like, you know, like, is that true though? Does Disneyland connect to something like that? Yeah, David, taking someone to Disneyland is romantic. People get engaged there, really? Disneyland is known to be a serious relationship market. See, like, I guess you guys are confused too, because like when I heard that, I was like, first of all, I didn't know about it because maybe I'm Korean, but is it an American thing? Yeah? Never heard of this? Okay. Going to Disneyland Paris made me emotional that I cried, even though I was okay. M says true. Never heard that Disneyland has romantic meaning attached. But David, taking someone to Disneyland is a big deal. Never heard of that. I'm from San Diego. Friends go there all the time. Maybe maybe if you go one-on-one. Never heard such crap, says Altiva. Okay. Capital N. Maybe if it's just me, but it seems people go to Disneyland to propose. I guess it seemed more of a couple thing. Okay, well, yeah, that's always been like a mystery for me, but you know, I was kind of shocked hearing that. I was like, really? Yeah. It's only romantic when you get the fast pass. Yeah, I had the fast pass. If you mean the express pass, you can skip the lines and stuff. Yeah, I got that because the employee from Disneyland granted us that. You were born and raised in California and never heard that. Okay. Okay then. Yeah, thank you for verifying. Disneyland romantic? Question mark? Okay. Why Disney to propose? What adult does that? Actually, I've seen some viral videos of people proposing there, and one of them actually got shoved off from a stage from the employee while in the middle of proposing, and a lot of people on the internet were criticizing that employee for being too tight. I wasn't wearing matching couple outfits. I suppose the lesson is accept free tickets with caution from attractive people. Okay. Okay. Anyways, guys, speaking of romantic and lighting up the sky with fireworks, this is the last news of today, and this is solely for Ryan because he stayed up until 3 a.m. in the morning. He probably has work tomorrow, but he's still watching. So, Seoul to light up Han River with K-pop Demon Hunters drone spectacle. It already happened today, I think. And because of the K-pop Demon Hunter craze, they made this drone show, and you can see like the tiger here. And yeah, this is like the Kakao Friends version, but I actually saw one of my photographer friends post today's drone show on his own account. So if you go over here, he posted the K-pop Demon Hunters show today. It was crazy. It was wild. The Saja boys, Huntrix, all together, them slaying the demons, and the Seoul Namsan Tower, Gyeongbokgung, and the tiger. That's magnificent, right? Well, I go to Disney if you can see this in Han River. Yeah, that's crazy quality. You know, there were music together. This is a time. Wow, wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Damn. Even the subway scene. Oh my gosh. I bet they turned on like the music along with it. Whoa, that is crazy. Damn. I've seen a lot of drone shows before, and wow, this is by far one of the most smoothest and well done shows. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. I guess Seoul City has the right to do that despite the IP being Sony and Netflix's, because it's set in our city with our historical backgrounds, right? With our ethnicity and our cultural background. So, yeah. I don't know if they got the copyright. I don't know regarding the copyright behind like drone shows. If you have to get, probably, right? It's for a mass performance and you're not making profit out of it, but still, like, yeah, it's widely publicized. So they probably got like a permission from Netflix and Sony, but that's very impressive. Yeah, video sped up. Yes, they need to release the sequel fast. I'm so it's so funny every time I see Ryan just going crazy over K-pop Demon Hunters. People who produce this are so talented. Yeah. Any concern that Korean entertainment is being taken over international companies like Netflix? That is a very big concern among the industry here. Yeah, that's a very big concern. It's already kind of infiltrated a lot and messed up with the ecosystem of production in Korea. So, yeah, it's already a very slippery slope. Yeah. It was all paid for with your tax money, David, so thank you. Okay. Yeah. I pay a lot of taxes. Yep. Okay. Okay. Golden has taken over #1. Yeah. On Billboard, I think, right? Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, guys. So it's 4 a.m. in the morning. I've been streaming more than 3 hours, I think. Yeah, it's yeah, we're heading up to the 3-hour mark. 264 people watching, but thank you everybody for tuning in. And just before you go, if you appreciate my streams, hit that like button. If you could send over a PayPal, that would be really appreciative. And check out my Patreon for exclusive podcasts and more content coming. I promise this week more are to come. Yes. And how many hours of sleep will I get today? A good 6 to 7 hours, I think. Yeah. Addicted to the S-Line watch party. Just finished episode 3. Really enjoying the series so far. Thank you, Maddie, for joining the Patreons recently. Thank you so much. And yeah, I will be pumping out more watch parties. I'm still debating on whether I should do Trigger, or there's this new drama I've been side-eyeing my mom watching. It's with Yuna from SNSD, and it actually looked pretty good. I was kind of hooked into it. The plot is that there's like this master chef that won an international food competition. She was in like this flight, and she suddenly time travels back to the Joseon dynasty, and she becomes like one of the food chef servants for the king. And she presents them with, like, the episode I saw was like she presents the king with like German schnitzels, and like modern food, and the king's like mind blown with the reaction and stuff. So that looked pretty good, and all these dramas with Yuna are have been pretty nice so far. Like Kingdaland was good too. So Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. You're also watching it? Oh yeah, I think that might be the English name. Yeah, but it looked pretty entertaining. Oh, you've been watching it? Oh, Minji's been watching it. Rachel's been watching it. Okay. Shows Korean cooking and history. Yeah, so I thought I might do the watch party because first of all it's fun, and also it has Yuna in it, and also when I was watching it I was pretty curious on how the subtitles would be done, because there were a lot of parts I thought that the subtitles wouldn't do justice because of the flip-flopping back from the modern terms to Korean terms and whatnot. So I was like, oh wow, I'm curious on how they would have, like, maybe it was lost in translation or something, but yeah. Okay. Anyways, you've watched that too. It's pretty fun watching the storyline. Okay, so maybe I'll check that out. There's only been 5 episodes out so far, so knowing K-dramas, they usually go up to 16 or 12. 유나 드라마. 폭군의 셰프. Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. Yes. 폭군의 셰프. 회차. 정보. It says how many episodes? 12. Yeah, there's gonna be 12 and a special one more episode. So we still are halfway there, so I might be able to catch up if I binge watch. But it's been pretty promising so far from the 30 minutes I've been watching. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's like a historical drama. So some people get warded off from these historical themed ones, but yeah, it looks pretty good. You follow Bon Appetit too? Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think I might jump into this. So let's see. Seems like a lot of people are watching anyway, so might as well watch together, right? Yeah. Okay, guys, so thanks for tuning in today, and I'm gonna go sleep, and I'll see you next KPC Live, whenever it is. During the weekday, hopefully. If I get that, if I proceed to the 3rd round of Gyeonggi Eating Creator, this campaign over here, then I will proceed with longer streams. If I don't, I might downsize them. So yeah, wherever your money's at, fingers crossed. Okay, bye everybody, have a good night. Ciao. IRL stream. Oh yeah, I need to do IRL streams. Yes, I might go to Hongdae or Itaewon for next week. Weather's becoming good, so yeah, might be very lively. Okay guys, bye bye. When will I know? By the 10th, by Wednesday. Thursday if you're in American time. Yeah. Okay, bye everybody. Good night. Good night, good night.